X Stadium, Tyler Field, the site for today's series finale between the Wichita State Shockers and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Denning Gehrig alongside Tim Slack. And Tim, yesterday's win gives Wichita State the best start in the Todd Butler era at 8-0. After a couple seasons where it seems like they were finding the right pieces, it looks like Coach Butler has this Wichita State team clicking on all cylinders.
Well, everybody knew about the bats coming in and the Shockers' ability to score runs, but the pitching staff has been simply fantastic this year. The starters have gone deep in games. Relievers have come in and gotten some big outs.
We're going to sound like a broken record talking about Alec Boehm and Grayson Genista once again, but these two guys have put on a show through the first 8 games. They went back-to-back again yesterday with 2 balls that traveled a long way.
Well, it's shown not just in the sense of their ability to put up numbers, but they're fun to watch, and they sure have fun doing it as they have showcased their ability to hit the long ball already. 3rd time this year that they homer in the same game. 2nd time that they go back-to-back already.
Chandler Sandburn's scoreless 7th inning yesterday might get lost in the wash just a little bit, but this is a guy who has electric stuff and really demonstrates the kind of power arms that Coach Butler has down in that right field bullpen.
Well, he was fantastic. Mid to upper 90s pretty much all of yesterday in that 7th inning. And just another answer at that back end for Wichita State, the ability to get those big outs, and he sure did stifle the Nebraska bats. 11 pitches for 3 strikeouts.
The Shockers at 8-0, the Cornhuskers at 5-5. We've got starting lineups and first pitch next on WSU TV.
Got a quarter?
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Wichita State looking for 3 straight sweeps to start their 2018 season. They've already taken the first 2 from the Nebraska Cornhuskers and look to finish off the job here at 2 o'clock first pitch in Wichita, Kansas. Another pleasant afternoon, 66 degrees. Wind blowing out to left once again will certainly be a factor. Wichita State throws out this defensive alignment behind Connor Lungwitz this afternoon. The Shockers have put together 2 straight errorless games in this series and are fielding at a .990 clip through the first 8 games.
They've been fantastic. Grayson Genista has shown off his athleticism out in center field, anchoring down the heart of the outfield, and Travis Young has been busy out there as well. First start for Noah Croft behind the plate today.
Darren Erstad puts together this Nebraska lineup, and there are a couple of changes in there. The most notable one is at first base, where Friday night starter Luis Alvarado gets the start. He's a guy very athletic, can not only pitch it, but can also swing the bat quite a bit.
Well, he hit .280 last year. He's only had 5 at-bats, only hit so far in 1 game this year. And Darren Erstad looking to shake things up a little bit today. Alvarado, a fresh bat, maybe a possible guy to work around for the Shockers, as they haven't seen him yet in this series, but certainly a guy who can do some damage sitting at the bottom of that lineup.
Zach Rapinski moves up to the 2 spot. Altavilla down to 3 as Nebraska shuffles that lineup around. They'll be facing junior right-hander Connor Lungwitz, who will be making his 3rd start for the Shockers this season. There you see the numbers. 1-0 with a 3.24 ERA. And Tim, he's been not so good in one start and very good in his last one against Omaha.
Well, let's take the one last Sunday because that was the freshest. That also translates the best to here at X Stadium. His home debut last week against Omaha, 6 innings, just 2 hits, and really fantastic stuff coming off of a tough outing in McNeese. He's a guy that, man, he is just plus and plus and plus if he gives you innings, and that's the big question that the Shockers have. Can he get through the lineup 2 and 3 times?
Not a guy who's going to strike very many people out. As you could see there, only 3 punch-outs through the first 8 1/3 innings. But Todd Butler asking Lungwitz to take the ball on this Sunday afternoon. He'll face Mojo Hagge, Zach Rapinski, and Angelo Altavilla to start us in the top of the first. Hagge having a good series, 3 for 7 through the first 2 ball games, moved up to the leadoff spot. And he takes strike 1 to get us underway at 2:01 Central Standard Time. The Shockers looking for a 9-0 start. They started 7-0 a year ago. Lungwitz will feature a fastball, curveball, and a changeup, and it's that curveball that's really the separator for him. When he's throwing it not only in the dirt as a strikeout pitch, but also 4 strikes, it can really elevate his game.
Yeah, he shows the ability to get ahead, and you want to see him show the ability to put guys away.
Bouncer up the middle by Hagge's going to find center field, and Nebraska has the game's first base runner.
Well, Hagge has been a pest for the Shockers all weekend, and the first 2 games of the series he was sitting in that 2 spot. Today he gets moved up to the leadoff spot, and Darren Erstad immediately rewarded for the change as they get the first guy of the game on base.
So now it's Zach Rapinski, who has had quite the series, 4 for 7 for Nebraska, including a double. He's been bounding down towards the bottom of the order, but that performance has moved him up into the 2 spot today. He's first pitch swinging and skies it down the right field line. This should stay in play. And no one's going to get to it. Ritter going out, Dugas coming in, and pretty much equidistant from both, lands in foul territory.
Well, the wind's been a factor all weekend in this series, and we saw it with pop-ups late Friday for Nebraska's defense. The Shockers kind of have their first struggle. Flag has pretty much been like that the entire series, just blowing straight out to left field.
Lungwitz taking a second behind the mound to allow his fielders to get back into position. That was a long run for Luke Ritter going out, and a long run for Dayton Dugas coming in, as Rapinski now down on the count, 0-1. Swings and drives it into deep left center field. Genesta on the run. He's going to track it down a step in front of the warning track. Hagge thought about tagging, but will slam on the brakes and head back to first. Good swing again from Rapinski, but didn't elevate it quite enough to get it up into the jet stream.
I really don't believe that this guy didn't have a hit coming into this series. He has been really tough out for the Shockers all weekend, and this ball squared up. He hit a couple in BP today that were kind of impressive. Just not quite the power on it, but you see it still carries all the way out to the center field warning track.
It's a good job by Genesta, too, recognizing that you can't just lollygag that ball back in, that Hagge was tagging and required a strong throw to keep him at bay. First pitch swinging from Altavilla lashes it foul.
And something that's not thought about with this wind, right, is outfielders are taught you want to get behind the ball so you can get your momentum back into your throw, get the ball into the infield very quickly. With the way the wind carries the ball out to the field, we're seeing a lot of guys catch the ball basically flat-footed, going away from the infield, and Hagge at least put the pressure on. He might have been able to make it had he kept on the gas the entire way to second.
On the left field line by Altavilla. Into the corner. Young is going to have room, reaching up to make the catch. Hagge again tags. This time he's going to go for it, and he'll be in there standing. So a couple of long flyouts, and it looked like Hagge thought about it for a second, then realized when Young kind of double clutched, he was going to be able to make it standing.
Case in point, this ball was not hit that hard. It just kind of carried out to left field. Again, as we've seen all weekend, a ball that just gets way up into that jet stream. Young is great at tracking the ball. He just gets carried all the way out basically to the wall because of the wind, and that allows Hagge to take second.
So a man in scoring position, 2 out, and Scott Schreiber the batter. Lungwitz working off the first base side, a spin and a throw back to second, but Hagge is back in with a head-first dive. We'll see how aggressive the Shockers are here with Schreiber. Probably Nebraska's most complete hitter. He comes in leading the club in batting average among qualified hitters at .316. 2 for 8 in this series with an RBI. The Shockers do have a base open.
Just 2 for 8, but he has taken some very good swings in this series, some very good at-bats.
Tap to the left side. Bohm moving over, can't get it, and now it skips by Boyer and on into left field. That's going to allow Hagge to come around from third base to score, and Nebraska will take a 1-0 lead.
Well, I was just thinking about Friday's game when Hagge got caught stealing on a ball in the dirt that kind of thwarted a rally for Nebraska because Schreiber ended up doubling. This is kind of the give back by Wichita State, a slow chopper to the left side. You're hoping that somebody just knocks it down, and as Bohm crosses in front of Boyer, Bohm never got a good hop that entire time through, and it's going to end up being Bohm who is the one responsible for the run scoring.
Ruled it an error on Alec Bohm, and regardless of 1-0 lead for Nebraska, as Jesse Wilkening comes to the plate, he tries to check his swing on a pitch away and does so. But at the very least, that's a ball that either Bohm or Boyer needs to knock down to keep it on the infield and prevent Hagge from scoring. And you wonder if Bohm cutting in front probably shielded the view of Boyer. He didn't get a chance to see it cleanly, and it bounced right by him.
Well, absolutely, and it's the announcer's jinx. We were just talking about how good the Shockers' defense has been, and the mistake Bohm makes there is you're taught to take a straight line as the third baseman, cut that ball off, and then if you don't get it, case in point right there, you're giving the shortstop an opportunity to see the ball. That didn't happen for Boyer there. Boyer has to play it on his heels, and he gets a tough hop.
Schreiber has decent speed. I'm not sure if Boyer would have been able to get him anyway from deep in the 6-hole, but at the very least, it would have been runners at the corners and 2 out instead of a run in. And it'll be up to Connor Lungwitz to stop the bleeding right here. Ball on a strike. Wilkening swings right through it. Fastball at 88. Wilkening was carrying this Nebraska offense in the early going, hitting well up over 300. He's had a bit of a slow series, just 1 for 7 with an RBI, but still hitting over 300 entering play today. One-two. On the inside corner with a fastball, and Connor Lungwitz stops it right there. But Nebraska grabs the game's first run. We move to the home half of the first. It's 1-0 Cornhuskers on WSU TV.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Nebraska grabbing an unearned run in the top half of the first inning to grab a 1-0 lead, and the Shockers will try and answer with Luke Ritter, Grayson Genesta, and Alec Bohm, the top 3 hitters coming to the plate in the bottom half of the first inning against Nebraska right-hander Matt Warren, 6 foot, 215-pound, 6th-year senior. A really interesting story. A guy who went more than 700 days between collegiate pitches. There's the starting lineup that he'll be facing, but you don't often see a guy who has been in college for 6 years. He's one of the most decorated players in Creighton history, and now an in-state rival pitching for them in his 6th year in college.
Well, this is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Huskers after they've kind of been beaten up by the Shockers, beaten up by the long ball. Not only is this a guy with a ton of experience who was very good for Creighton as a starter, but he's also a guy who's not been susceptible to the long ball in his career. Just one home run, and that came all the way back in his freshman year, 25 seasons ago. I'm sorry, back just a couple years ago in 2013, but seems like it's been a while since somebody's been able to leave the yard against him.
Seems like it's been about 25 seasons for Matt Warren since he has started his college career at Creighton, and a guy who finished top 5 in several major categories with the Blue Jays, missed all of last season due to Tommy John, but is back on the bump here in this series finale. It'll be Luke Ritter to start it for the Shockers in the home half of the first. Warren's fastball at 90 miles an hour grabs the inside edge. Ritter broke out of the doldrums just a little bit with a solo home run to left center field yesterday, his lone hit in the series. And he smacks it into right field for a base hit. So both teams starting the first inning with solid singles. The Shockers will try and answer the Cornhuskers run with a run of their own here in the bottom half.
That's exactly what the Shockers want to see. Luke Ritter getting on base in front of Genesta and Bohm, and down 0-1 in the count. This is a pitch that Ritter's just going to drive the other way. Now a hard hit liner through the right side, and the Shockers got the leadoff man aboard.
So now it's Genesta who cranked a home run yesterday, 2 for 6 in the series. The average stands at 286 with 4 long balls already. He grounds it sharply up the middle and on into center field. Ritter with a turn at second. I think he may have had a chance to go to third, but he'll slam on the brakes, and the Shockers have 2 on with nobody out.
Well, obviously, one of the things that people got to be concerned about with Genesta is his ability to go deep, but he's a pretty complete hitter, just like we talked about with the guy behind him, Alec Bohm. And he has been so aggressive. Denny, you've touched on this a lot already this year, but his ability to go out and find a pitch early in the count and find a good pitch to hit early in the count and hit it hard has been so valuable to the Shockers.
3 pitches in, and Matt Warren already has issues. 2 on, nobody out, and Alec Bohm at the plate. He has already homered twice in this series, including a grand slam on Friday, and now has 13 RBI in addition to a .481 batting average. The numbers are video game-like for the Shocker third baseman. Makes a good strike.
Well, Alec's been doing it with some style this year. He certainly looks for pitches to drive, but certainly seems like everything that comes off his bat is hard. He uses the whole field very well, and he'll hit the ball towards that 390 sign in center field on a line.
Takes down, 2 balls and a strike. Mostly fastballs so far from Matt Warren. Comes in with a couple of starts this year. His first against Washington State, went 5 innings, allowed 4 hits and 2 runs. And then against Utah, 5 2/3, 7 hits and 2 runs, just 1 of which was earned. Foul tipped into the mid of Wilkening, and it's 2-2.
Well, this is a veteran pitcher, and you got to feel like this is a big test for the Shockers, seeing a guy with this much experience on a Sunday. Oftentimes, Sunday starters are either younger or haven't been as accomplished as a guy like Matt Warren.
2-2. Down. Warren, 22 victories in his Creighton career. That's top 5 all time, along with his 2.69 ERA, and won better than 75% of his decisions while he was a Blue Jay. And now has changed colors, wearing the Nebraska Cornhusker red. He's got a full count to Alec Bohm. Swing and a miss. Got the fastball by him, and a big strikeout for the Nebraska right-hander.
Well, that's a huge out, and Bohm, who's very patient, also very difficult to strike out despite his patience, just gets one slipped by him. A 90-mile-an-hour fastball. Might have had a little cut to it as well.
Well, you can see why Warren has only given up 1 home run in his college career. Everything has been down in the strike zone so far, working with a good plane and good angle. Here's Dayton Dugas. Breaking ball tapped to the left side on a couple of hops. Roscom down to second, and he pulled the second baseman Rapinski off the bag. Not sure if the Cornhuskers were going to be able to turn 2, but Roscom's throw pulled Rapinski well off the second base bag, and the Shockers have him loaded with one out.
Well, Duga runs very well out of the box inning, so you're exactly right. That would have been a tough turn, but Roscom, you want to at least be sure of one there, and you're going to see this opportunity. Roscom kind of gets handcuffed and trying to get rid of it quickly, ends up throwing it to the center field side of the bag. And Shockers got something brewing.
Mason O'Brien was looking for his second grand slam of the series. He's out in front of a breaking ball, and it's 0-1. Big series for Mason. Most of that damage done on Friday when he drove in 5. But he did have a hit in 4 trips yesterday. Another off-speed pitch at 82, and he's down 0-2.
Well, Warren already showcasing a lot of wrinkles. First 3 guys kind of stayed hard, stuck with mostly the fastball, and all of a sudden he's broken out this changeup that's had O'Brien off balance.
0-2, bounce to the right side. Not going to be a double play ball. Rapinski nearly had to go off of his glove, and he'll flip to first base to retire O'Brien, but the Shockers even it up on the RBI groundout.
Well, that's sure of one, and Rapinski kind of a veteran move to make sure he had that one and not hurry it. He knew he had to get an out there, and he had a kind of triple take to make sure that that ball actually got in his glove, kind of took off the turf on him.
Oftentimes on turf, that second hop can really speed up as Noah Croft takes a breaking ball away. It's an RBI for Mason O'Brien, his 11th of the season, and Wichita State immediately responds to the Nebraska run with one of their own as we are tied at 1 apiece here in the bottom half of the first.
How effective has he been in the Shocker lineup here at X Stadium?
Well, he's going to get a lot of chances, that's for sure. Bowman Genista will be pitched around certainly at different points this year, and there will be plenty of base runners for Mason O'Brien to drive in. 1-1. Croft to the left side, foul. Roscom fields it just behind the bag.
Good to see Noah Croft in the lineup today, also catching for the first time. He's another big bat as he develops. He's going to be fun to watch over his Shocker career. Kind of worked his way into the lineup last year as injuries lingered for Troutwine. But now that Noah's healthy, swung it well yesterday.
1-2 got him to chase, and Wilkening will apply the tag to end the inning. Wichita State gets a run on the RBI groundout. We move to the second. It's 1-1 on WSU TV.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
An unearned run for Nebraska in the top of the first, an unearned run for Wichita State in the bottom of the first, and we are right back at square one. Moving into the second, the Shockers taking advantage of a little Nebraska charity in the home half. Did leave a couple runners in scoring position, but Connor Lungwitz gets a chance to work without facing a deficit moving into his second inning work.
Well, the first inning was all about giving, each team giving the other team a run and an opportunity. Shockers had a little bit of a tough one in the first on that ball that skipped by Bohm and Boyer into left field, but Wichita State putting the bat on the ball against Matt Warren. We'll see how this one plays out. Kind of two very different first innings that kind of resulted in getting us back to square one.
It'll be Roscom, Alvarado, and Hallmark. A lefty and then two righties due up for Nebraska in the second. Roscom was the one who committed the error in the last half inning as both third basemen committing a miscue. And Lungwitz deals a strike, 0-1. We talked ad nauseum about how important it is for Liam Eddy to throw strike one to be ahead in the count, and I think it doubly applies to Connor Lungwitz today.
He's been pretty good at it. Definitely saw it last weekend where that was a big part of his game.
Roscom, a liner into right field, but it's pretty much right at Dayton Dugas, who has just a step or two to retreat, and he squeezes it for the first out.
But you mentioned at the top of the first inning with Connor, he's not going to strike out a ton of guys. His game is really getting you to hit the ball at his defenders, and this is kind of case in point, ball right at Dayton Dugas, even though it was hit pretty hard by Roscom. But to do that, you want to be ahead so that guys are taking a little bit more defensive swings, as allowing them to freely swing at anything you're throwing up there.
And where Connor ran into trouble in his first start against McNeese State, he was really battling the strike zone. He walked 3 in 2 1/3 innings, but only handed out the one free pass over 6 frames against Omaha as he drops a curveball downstairs to Luis Alvarado, the Friday night starter for Nebraska, in there at first base today.
A first look at Alvarado at the plate. This is a guy who was drafted out of high school as a hitter by I believe the Red Sox, and then kind of transitioned last year to pitch a little bit more, and all of a sudden this year they've not really used him in the lineup.
Has only played the field in one other game this season. That was back on February 25th against Utah, but he did go 2 for 5. So showing you the offensive prowess as Lungwitz falls behind 2 balls and a strike.
There's been a lot more talk at the college level the last couple of years. Remember Brennan McKay from Louisville, who was a two-way player, and then, of course, Shei Otani coming from Japan over to America to play baseball. But just the ability for guys to stick at 2 positions.
Lined at Luke Ritter, and he's able to make the catch just before it skips onto the turf as he shows first base umpire Matt Anderson a couple of loud outs to start for Nebraska in the second.
Well, there you go. It's Lungwitz getting the ball and allowing his defense to work as he throws strikes. 2 balls hit right at his defenders, and Ritter perfectly placed to make that catch.
You saw plenty of Atom balls yesterday. There was a lot of squared up line drives for both sides as the 2 teams combined for 23 hits and 9 runs. Here's Hallmark. Takes just in tight with a fastball. 2 for 7 in the series, but he's been kind of feast or famine. In addition to the 2 hits, he has 3 strikeouts. And prior to today, had committed the series' only error.
And he came into the series swinging it pretty well for the Cornhuskers, and in all the pieces, it seemed like Darren Erstadt was trusting him to play center field and hit kind of 5, 6, 7 in their lineup.
2-0 bounced foul. We're talking about two-way guys, but in a way, they kind of fall under the same umbrella in terms of just guys who are versatile. And Jackson Hallmark certainly is going to fit that description for Darren Erstad with his ability to play multiple positions. Has seen time both in the infield and the outfield for Nebraska already this year, just 10 games in.
Well, other than Jesse Wilkening behind the plate, it doesn't seem like Darren Erstad lets anybody kind of stay in one spot. They've moved a lot of guys around, both infield and outfield, to find what works best for this Cornhusker team.
If there's anyone who should know versatility, it's Darren Erstad. The first ever player to win a Gold Glove as both an infielder and an outfielder. Of course, an outstanding big leaguer with the Angels. His brother Brian actually played for Wichita State from 2000 to 2004. So a connection there with Erstad, but he has had this Nebraska program moving in the right direction as Hallmark battles off a 2-2.
Yeah, 7 years. The Cornhuskers winning their first Big Ten title last season. And he's consistently had them other than year one, as you get a look at the skipper there. He's had them above 500, winning baseball games. Pretty consistent.
Big Ten Coach of the Year last year. Hallmark just gets a piece of it to stay alive at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
He was always a fun guy to watch. We kind of talked about this Friday just up in the press box as a group, but you think about, he was never really a power guy when he made it to the big leagues. He always had the ability, but yet he played positions where power guys typically played. First base, corner outfield.
Breaking ball and a good one from Connor Lungwitz. He rings up Jackson Hallmark and notches a 1-2-3 inning in the second. We move to the bottom half. Still 1-1 on WSU TV.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Connor Lungwitz punctuating a 1-2-3 second inning with a strikeout, and we remain deadlocked at a run apiece moving into the bottom half. It's the bottom third of the Wichita State order coming to the plate against Matt Warren, Travis Young, Jacob Katzvey, and Jordan Boyer. A lefty sandwiched around a pair of righties as Wichita State goes for the sweep here this afternoon.
Well, both pitchers, a little bit different experience levels when you think about how many starts Warren has in his career under his belt. This is his 39th career start versus Lungwitz, who has a little bit more than a handful of starts, but both with the right idea. Attacking hitters, forcing hitters to put it in play, and keeping them in the ball yard.
Just the 9th career start for Connor Lungwitz here this afternoon. Matt Warren, substantially more than 9. Travis Young, first pitch swinging. He rifles it at Altavilla, who's up with it and throws across in time to get the hustling Shocker left fielder. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Well, 9 or 39, the recipe's the same when you're kind of upper 80s, lower 90s, both of the right-handed pitchers pitching to contact. And Young strikes this one well, but right at Altavilla. Kind of felt like we saw that in the top half of the inning. Ball hit well, right at somebody.
Jacob Katzvey watches the strike, getting his first start of the series. He did come on as a pinch hitter in Friday's ball game and notched a pinch hit single in the 8th. 4 for 8 in limited action this year.
But we know he can hit, and that's something that has always been part of the book on Jacob Katzvey. A sophomore who's really working his way into the group and certainly provides a great option for Todd Butler from the left side of the plate. He's kind of slid into that profile of a corner guy and a first baseman. They've used him a little bit in this series already at first base to spell Mason O'Brien.
It's in the driver's seat now at 3 balls and a strike.
But it's kind of funny because he's very athletic, right? 6'4" guy who can run quite a bit. Not the prototypical power guy, especially when the Shockers are filled with a bunch of them.
And he's going to earn himself a walk. He made a play last year against Texas Tech. He was starting in left field where he ran down a ball in foul territory and then turned and threw out a runner at the plate that most first basemen are not capable of making. So he has some rare blend of speed and the ability to go get it that will serve the Shockers well in some capacity. Jordan Boyer with a man aboard and 1 out here in the second. 1 for 6 in this series so far. He chopped a double over Roscom's head yesterday. There goes the runner, swing and a miss, throw down by Wilkening, and the second baseman wasn't covering. The ball gets into center field, and Katzvey, heading for third, is going to be in there standing. So Jacob Katzvey advances 2 bases on some miscommunication between the Cornhuskers' middle infielders as both Rapinski and Altavilla late getting there, and the throw sails on into center field.
Well, this is all on Zach Rapinski for not getting to second base in time. He's behind the bag and late, and then that allows Katzvey to get to third. But Katzvey read it so late, he almost gets thrown out by the center fielder Hallmark because he didn't slide heading into the third base bag. I don't know if he thought it was going to be that close or not. That's kind of a fortunate break for the Shockers.
Second error already by Nebraska. Jordan Boyer foul tips it. He's down 0-2, but safe to say there was basically zero execution from anybody on that play. Boyer swung through a hit and run, miscommunication on covering the bag, and then Catsby didn't slide into third. So somewhat comedy of errors, but the Shockers will take it. Boyer on 0-2, pops it into shallow right. Rapinski backing up, will make the catch. Catsby bluffs the tag and will hold on right there. Big second out recorded by Matt Warren.
I'll tell you what, you look at his numbers coming in 10 2/3, as you mentioned, Denny, he had 4 runs, only 3 of them were earned. But you feel like a guy who's got to trust his defense enough, he's going to have to pitch through errors behind him. He's going to have to find a way to work out of tough situations. And you're seeing that experience come into play as he missed the barrel on Boyer.
Gets out of Luke Ritter, no balls and a strike. Ritter lined a sharp single into right field his first time up and came around to score the Shocker run. Late swing on a breaking ball, and he sprays it over the netting.
Warren, nothing very hard. His teammate, the first baseman today, Luis Alvarado, was throwing harder on Friday, but he's getting in on hands, and that was a 78-mile-an-hour breaking ball that he jammed Ritter on.
And he hits Ritter. Oh, nope, they're going to keep him there as home plate umpire Seth Buckminster immediately out from behind home plate and says that Ritter did not make an effort to get out of the way.
Well, Todd Butler is going to come have a conversation because that's an off-speed pitch on the inside part of the plate. And Ritter kind of jetted the elbow out a little bit. I think Butler just wants a little clarification as to exactly why.
Todd Butler playing ball boy will go and retrieve it behind home plate, but look from our vantage point like a pretty good call from Seth Buckminster. If you're Ritter down 0-2, you're certainly doing anything you can to try and get your way aboard, but the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, that was a great approach. Nothing wrong with that.
Right up on the plate with 2 strikes. Taps it foul.
I think that's something, too, that speaks to the experience of Ritter. You have a guy like Warren who's going to be aggressive on both sides of the plate. If he's going to be leaving balls over the inside part of the plate, take the free pass.
And Luke Ritter, I'm sure, would love to get it to Grayson Genista one way or another, whether he gets Catsby home or not. Grounds it slowly up the third base line, foul. Roscom gloves it just wide of the line. And Ritter earns himself another 1-2 pitch.
We certainly like this at bat so far from Ritter because this is a very good opportunity to at least jack the pitch count up for Warren, make him work one way or the other.
Shockers have done a good job of avoiding leaving runners on the pass. They only stranded 3 on Friday and 5 yesterday despite the 13 hits. Would like to cash in Catsby here with 2 outs. Reached down a 1-out walk, advanced to third on the stolen base and a throwing error, but Boyer's pop-up has left him standing there. Warren's 1-2. Ritter into left center field. That ball's going to get down out there and score Jacob Catsby. Ritter heading for second base. The throw in is going to be not in time. A hustling RBI double from Luke Ritter, and it's 2-1 Shockers.
Well, the ability to clean up the bases perhaps has been one of the best qualities about the Shockers this year. And this is Ritter just driving the gap out into left center field. But you love the hustle from him all the way. He never put on the brakes. He was thinking 2 all the way. Any hesitation there, and that's the end of the inning. But instead, the Shockers have another guy on. So continuing to apply the pressure here in this inning, not just getting 1 run in and settling for that, but adding to it, or at least adding another opportunity to it.
So the Shockers have made the 2 Nebraska errors hurt. Genista to the right side, gloved on a slide by Rapinski. His throw to first is low, but Alvarado squeezes it And the inning comes to a close, not before Wichita State takes their first lead. We move into the third. It's 2-1 Wichita State on WSU TV.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
A 2-out RBI double from Luke Ritter, giving Wichita State a 2-1 lead. As we proceed into the top half of the third inning, Connor Lungwitz has retired the last 4 that he's faced, 2 via strikeout, now has himself his first lead to work with.
Well, a couple of things at play, Danny, and I really do believe that this is the best quality about this Shocker team right now is when there is an opportunity to drive in runs, and even sometimes when there's not, they're creating runs with big hits, extra base hits. And by contrast, in this series, you look at Nebraska, they've left 17 guys on coming into today compared to the 8 that you mentioned that the Shockers have. The Shockers have created those opportunities, unlike the Huskers, and that's been a big, big difference in this series.
Jeff Athey will lead it off in the 9th spot for Nebraska here in the third. Had his first hit of his season in the 9th inning yesterday with a 2-run homer off Shocker closer Tommy Barnhouse. Skies this one foul. It was too little too late as Wichita State hung on for a 6-3 victory in a 9th inning that got a little dicier than I'm sure Todd Butler would have preferred. But nonetheless, hard to be upset, and you feel like you're kind of nitpicking a little bit to find the mistakes in what has been a very good 8-0 start.
Well, in all fairness to Tommy Barnhouse, that was the exact same swing that Athey took yesterday that produced the home run.
Lungwitz falls behind 2 balls and a strike. Athey just 1 for 15 now on the season. Skied one out of here to left field that got quite a bit of help from Mother Nature. Oh, when you're scuffling the way he has at the early portion of this season, you'll take him any way you can get him. Rounds it foul, 2-2. 2 lefties and a righty due up for Nebraska here in the third. As we mentioned yesterday, a lot of balance in Darren Erstad's lineup 1 through 9. Got the 3 lefties and then Altavilla, a switch hitter. Checked his swing and a breaking ball hits him in the foot. It will appeal down to third and no swing, says Jason Blackburn, so it's going to be a leadoff hit by pitch for Athey.
I think the Shockers protesting a little bit from the dugout because that's exactly the same thing that happened with Ritter in the bottom of the second. I didn't think, yeah, you kind of see that knee jet out. I think that ball probably would have hit Athey either way, but at the same time, if you're going to be aggressive in keeping guys from leaning out over the plate, you'd want to see that call go the same way that it did in the bottom half of the inning.
Guess it doesn't matter what appendage it is that leans out over, whether it's an elbow or a knee, but Lungwitz's back foot breaking ball goes awry, and now he has a man to deal with as Mojo Hagge stands in. Hagge is, you said it best, been a pest in this series. 4 hits now and 8 trips. He also drew a couple of walks on Friday and has just been aboard more often than not at the top of this Nebraska order. Lungwitz falls behind 2 balls and no strikes. Getting ahead in counts, going to be imperative for the junior right-hander from Mays, Kansas. At his best when he is throwing strikes and allowed to widen his repertoire.
And with Hagge, it just seems like he has not gone out of the strike zone at all this weekend.
Swinging on 2-0, and he'll sky it into routine center field. Jennis just started in, now has to backtrack and will make the catch. Athey played it halfway and will retreat to first.
I don't know how much routine is out there today on fly balls. It seems like the Shockers have even had some difficulty getting a beat on the way the wind has played today. But I'll tell you that there's a big difference, and going back to what we were talking about with Ritter's 2-out knock. But for Nebraska, they have just not seemed to be able to string together the big hits that Wichita State has, especially with the pop. And this has been a team that has relied on singles so far through the season. And they've looked to kind of keep the line moving. Well, you can win that way. That's definitely a way that a lot of teams typically play without a lot of power. But they just haven't been able to cash in those opportunities, and as a result, they've left a lot of guys on the bases.
Swing and a miss by Rapinski, 0-2. Small sample size, but Nebraska already 0 for 5 today with runners on, and 0 for 3 in 2-out situations, situations that Tim is talking about. Here they've got a man aboard at first and 1 out after Athey was hit by a pitch and Hagge flied out. Rapinski pops it into shallow right field. Not going to be an easy play. Ritter drifting out, and he can't make the catch. Dugas pursues it, throws to second, and it's going to be in time. So the Shockers will get the out, not the conventional way, as Luke Ritter saw that ricochet off of his glove, and thankfully Dayton Dugas backing up the play.
Just a routine 4.96 on the putout. And it's an adventure out there today. I think the wind is moving even harder than it was yesterday. But then you also have the gray sky, and that one just kind of pushed back a little bit off the glove of Ritter. Luckily, it deflected pretty much right to Dayton Dugas, and he was able to make a good throw.
So now it's Lungwitz against Altavilla. Runner on the move. Croft's throw down is not going to be in time, and sliding in there with his first stolen base of the season is Zach Rapinski.
Well, you definitely take advantage of the situation there for the Cornhuskers. Is kind of a rough break after the drop fly ball, but put the guy in motion, try and get the guy into scoring position anyways.
And I would expect Nebraska to test Noah Croft. First game starting behind the plate this afternoon. Gunnar Troutwine definitely has shown the ability to cut down runners, but Nebraska is going to make Croft prove that he can do it with some regularity. As Lungwitz deals with a man in scoring position and 2 outs, Altavilla flew out to deep left his first time up. Tries to back foot a breaking ball, 2-0.
Well, Nebraska has kind of been station to station this weekend, with the exception of, I think, a couple extra base hits. You really have to find other ways to jumpstart the offense, and I think the running game is a fantastic way to do so, especially because it forces the pitcher to think about something else than the guy that they're facing.
Altavilla into center field. That's going to be in for a base hit. Rapinski will come around from third to score, and Nebraska answers the 2-out hit from Wichita State with one of their own, and it's 2-2.
Well, that's exactly why you get the guy into motion, and Altavilla, who has struggled to start the season, certainly have seen some frustration from him, and he just goes right back up the middle. He's swinging a lot better from the left side, by the way, in this series. He's looked very good from the left side, even though the numbers haven't necessarily backed it up. That's just a clean, pure piece of hitting to cash in the run and tie this game back up.
Lungwitz will make a move over. Altavilla has good speed. He's 2 for 2 in stolen bases on the season, and we'll see if he is in motion at some point here. You hate to take the bat out of the hands of Scott Schreiber, who reached on an error his first time up that brought home the first Nebraska run.
Well, you already see it kind of in the mentality from the Shockers. They're already concerned just with one stolen base about keeping the base runner close.
Just missed the outside edge from Lungwitz. 1-0. Not much to separate these teams through the first 2+ innings. A couple defensive miscues for each. That Ritter play, by the way, not considered an error because the Shockers got an out on the fielder's choice, but for all intents and purposes, 2 defensive miscues apiece.
Yeah, the biggest change in that inning because of that defensive mistake is you get Rapinski, who shows the ability to run on the bases instead of Athey, who's maybe a little bit more sluggish and would have been at first base for that single.
Grounded sharply to shortstop. Boyer's going to go the short way to second. It's in time, and a fielder's choice retires Nebraska in the top of the third. They do tie the game on the RBI single from Altavilla as we move into the home half of the third. Our new score, Nebraska 2, Wichita State 2 on WSU TV. An RBI ground out from Mason O'Brien, an RBI double from Luke Ritter, run scoring error, and an RBI single from Angelo Altavilla. We've got a 2-2 ball game into the bottom half of the third here at X Stadium. A warm but somewhat overcast afternoon in Wichita to wrap up this 3-game set, and Wichita State continues to roll along with the season opening homestand. They'll have SIU Edwardsville coming to town on Tuesday before they take to the road for a midweek game against Oral Roberts on Wednesday, and then it's right back into X Stadium for a 3-game series against Texas Arlington. You can see there all those games at home available to you on WSU TV. Shockers will be sending 3, 4, and 5 to the plate against Matt Warren here in the third. It's Alec Boehm, Dayton Dugas, and Mason O'Brien. Boehm struck out swinging his first time up, worked the count full to 3-2, and Warren snuck a fastball by him. He'll be looking to atone, leading off the home half of the third.
Kind of an interesting thing that Warren has been able to accomplish that we haven't seen a ton so far this year, and that's retiring Genesta for the third out of an inning so that Boehm has to lead off. Boehm has had a lot of opportunities in the middle of innings so far this year, and that's what you love for your 3-hitter to have, especially with guys on base.
A lot of fastballs so far from Matt Warren. He has shown the ability to mix in an occasional breaking ball, but mostly hard stuff, and he has fallen behind Alec Boehm with 3 fastballs down.
Well, it's interesting. He was so aggressive to Boehm the first time through, and that was with 2 guys on. Here he's been a lot more cautious with the bases empty.
There's a strike at 87, 3-1. He's the kind of guy where you wouldn't rule anything out on 3 balls and a strike. He may just flip in a get-me-over breaking ball if he thinks that you're sitting hard stuff. Instead, he goes fastball, and he missed inside, and the Shockers have themselves a leadoff runner.
Well, Warren has shown trust in pretty much all of his pitches already here in the third inning, but one of the things in terms of his efficiency has been that they're pretty much all around the plate. They may not have the most movement. He doesn't have a ton of velocity, but he is using his pitches effectively. This is just a 3-1 pitch that he's trying to run off the plate, see if he can get a swing from Boehm, who's looking to do some damage, and it just ran inside.
Breaking ball tapped right out in front of the plate. Has a lot of spin on it. Wilkening's throw's not going to be in time. Dayton Dugas just tapped it, and it had so much spin that it kicked away from both Warren and Wilkening, and by the time the Nebraska catcher picked it up, virtually no chance to get Dugas at first.
That reminds me of the Alex Jackson cue shot from last week, and I don't know what has happened, but that ball bounced in the left-hand batter's box and just spun around. Wilkening and Warren both were kind of chasing after it like a snake.
So Wichita State puts their first 2 men on here in the home half of the third, and now it's O'Brien. Drives it into right center field, sinking quickly and down for a base hit. Bohm is going to get the wave around third. The relay to the plate is cut off, and it's 3-2 Shockers.
Well, a lot of things going on there. Bohm got a great read as where Dugas held up to make sure that sunk. Schreiber started in like he was going to make that catch. But you see Bohm, he pretty much goes right off the bat. Dugas has to wait for it to settle down. But then Schreiber's throw goes to second. Had it gone more towards the plate, Nebraska might have had a shot at Bohm.
And they almost got Dugas straying too far off of second base as well. There was a lot happening, but Wichita State will take it on Mason O'Brien's second RBI of the afternoon. They've got a 3-2 lead. Still 2 on, nobody out, and Noah Croft grounds it foul.
I'll tell you what, Mason O'Brien just seems to contribute. He has loved hitting here at X Stadium. Through the first 6 games, all he does is produce runs.
The big series for O'Brien now has him up to 12 RBIs, still 1 behind Alec Bohm for the team lead. Moved to second, and they got Dayton Dugas. So Dugas picked off for the second time in 2 games as Warren spins around and fires to Altavilla, and a big first out for the Nebraska right-hander.
It was kind of like Dayton got stuck in quicksand there as he slid back in, and it looked for a split second like he might be able to beat it. You see Altavilla gets a great jump, but he just kind of stuck. That was really close. But that's one of those you really just can't give the umpire the opportunity there.
Dugas was probably safe if we get a look at that replay.
I'm not convinced that he was out, but it's a very tough angle.
If the ball beats you, a lot of umpires are going to ring you up just about no matter what. And the umpire already screened on a play like that. Croft takes a strike 1 and 2.
Granted, we're much further away than the third base umpire, Jason Blackburn, who's covering second right now. But even that, I think even from his perspective, it's almost like Dugas' hand kind of disappears for a second, and you see that the ball beats him.
Warren trying to get Croft to chase. He did so to end the first inning when he struck him out. No, lays off that one and evens it at 2 balls and 2 strikes. But to me, the bottom line is, like you said, you can't give the umpire a chance to make that call. You, as a runner out at second base, you got to really listen to your third base coach and be aware. Good swing by Croft, fouls it back just below us.
I think sometimes, too, umpires just kind of feel like it on those plays, on pickoff plays, because they're not regular plays that produce outs, you know, not just like a regular ground out to the shortstop. Sometimes umpires are almost leaning the way of the defense if it's a 50-50 one.
And he does get Croft to chase. A 2-2 breaking ball that drops down and out of the strike zone, and Matt Warren records his 3rd strikeout of the afternoon.
I'll tell you what, Warren, for giving up a run in every inning, has had to deal with kind of an irregular inning almost every inning. Think about the way this one started. You never want to walk the leadoff guy, but then the cue shot single. But he's gritty. He's working out, and he's continuing to throw strikes and fill up the count.
Travis Young swings and drives it into center field, backing up Hallmark. Right in front of the wall, has to reach up at the last second, but he will make the catch, and the side is retired. Shockers get 1, but probably had a chance for a few more. We move into the top of the 4th. It's now 3-2 Wichita State on WSU TV.
I was living in a shelter juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Shockers building a picket fence on the scoreboard. They've got a single run in each of the first 3 innings and have themselves a 3-2 lead to work with as Connor Lungwitz comes back out for the 4th. They'll contend with Jesse Wilkening, Luke Roscom, and Luis Alvarado, 5, 6, and 7 in the Nebraska order. It's been kind of an odd 3 innings, Tim. We've seen a little bit of everything. Wichita State has a 1-run lead to show for it.
Odd and very different from the first 2 games that we saw in this series, in which both starters were able to get you really to the 3rd inning without any runs, without any trouble. And yet the defense has kind of let both starters down in this one and given each team some extra opportunities.
3 combined errors already, and one that should probably be chalked up as one, but it resulted in and out as Wilkening will start it. Struck out looking against Lungwitz to end the first. Right on right matchup for the Shocker starter, and he drops a breaking ball downstairs.
On that one you're talking about, the Ritter drop fly ball, it ends up leading to a run because Altavilla ends up stealing. It's a little thing that changes the dynamic of the game, right? That ends up allowing Nebraska to continue to build some momentum against Connor Lungwitz.
For Wichita State, out of the bullpen so far in this series, they used 4 relievers on Friday. McGinnis, Evans, Allen, and Minor. Then 3 relievers yesterday. Sandburn, Tyler, and Barnhouse for an inning apiece. Wilkening slaps it into center field for a leadoff single. But most of the Shocker arms down in the right field pen should be well rested and should be generally all hands on deck as far as this ball game, but the Shockers do have 2 midweek games coming up that they will have to preserve some arms for.
Well, Jesse Wilkening has kind of been stuck in the cellar for most of this series. He's able to just serve one into center field there. You know, it is a little bit of a feather in the cap of the Shockers pitching that they have been able to get to the bullpen in about the 6th or 7th inning most of these home games. And I think that's something, even the guys who have thrown, nobody's really been extended. Nobody's overworked right now. In contrast, you look at Nebraska, we haven't seen some of their best bullpen arms yet. They've kind of tried to bide their time with some younger relievers.
Luke Roscom taking a couple pitches just off the outer black, ahead 2 balls and no strikes. To your point, the most pitches that a Shocker reliever has thrown in this series is 29. So just about everybody should be on call if necessary. Wilkening away at first, a catcher, does not run particularly well. And Lungwitz gets back in the count at 2-1. Roscom hit a tracer out to Dayton Dugas in right his first time up, and has swung the bat better than his 2 for 9 in this series would indicate. And he cranks this one into right field. Dugas started in, but he's going to retreat and make the catch. And Luke Roscom wondering what it is that he did to Dayton Dugas. He's taken away a couple of hits from him. This time another solid line drive.
Well, yeah, if we're going to talk about power, Roscom has shown maybe some of the most power, especially from the left side for Nebraska in this series. And this ball almost hit in the exact same spot as the last one, maybe 10, 15 feet further that took Dugas back. Interesting, Wilkening thought that ball might have gotten over Dugas' head. He was ready to get to third, possibly score, should it have ended up against the wall.
Ball is not going to travel to right field particularly well today. That breeze blowing stiffly out to left is going to cut down most fly balls hit in that direction. But still, Roscom has had a couple of solid line drives. Unfortunately for him, right at gold jerseys, as Luis Alvarado takes a strike 1-1. He struck the ball well his first time up, but it was right at Luke Ritter.
Well, this guy's a good hitter. Came in with a couple of hits, but he has consistently hit for the Cornhuskers.
Ball's behind 1-2. He was their regular left fielder most of last season. Also saw some time in center field. Hit .283 with a couple homers and 25 RBI. But as we mentioned on Friday, the plan this year is to have him at first base or DH when he is not pitching, rather than in the outfield. Lungwitz makes a move over, and Wilkening back in standing.
And you have to feel like that's dictated by the fact that he's probably going to be drafted this year as a starting pitcher. That seems to be the plan. How many guys can say they've been drafted at 3 different positions, though? Drafted coming out of high school as a hitter, yeah. Maybe his coach. Maybe that's it. Darren Erstad.
Left side. Boyer's got it on the dive. Goes to second, and they get the out. And Jordan Boyer might be injured. He is bent over. Hops up to his feet now, but a brilliant play from the Shocker shortstop to take away a hit and turn it into an out.
Well, great job ranging to his right. Almost felt like he didn't feel like he had a great beat at it the entire way. And you're going to watch him go to the right. You see the slide, but he knows his best bet is second base on that. And he feeds Luke Ritter, who turns into the first baseman. And it's a great job of being sure of being sure of getting that lead runner.
Mike Steele wants a conversation with Connor Lungwitz as he comes out of the first base dugout. The batter will be Jackson Hallmark, who Lungwitz struck out his first time up, but I get the sense that Mike Steele is trying to emphasize the importance of not only this hitter, but really this inning in general. When you talk about shutdown frames, Lungwitz has a chance to throw up another 0 and give Wichita State a chance to hit with the lead in a game where it's been kind of back and forth, teams trading single runs the whole way.
Well, sometimes, when a pitching coach is going to come out, you get the sense that they're kind of gauging where their starter's at. That had a very classroom feel to it to Connor Lungwitz, of just the pure body language of describing the importance of how they're going to approach Hallmark and how he needs to approach this inning, really just one pitch away from getting that shutdown inning that you referenced.
Hallmark has now struck out in 4 of 8 trips in this series, but he has hits in 2 of the other 4. Alvarado away at first. Hallmark to the left side. Bohm reaches and snags it and flips to Ritter in time to retire the side. So the meeting on the mound works wonders as Connor Lungwitz is out of the frame in 1 pitch. We move to the bottom half. 3-2 Shockers on WSU TV. Only one 1-2-3 inning to speak of through the first 10 half frames. We're into the bottom half of the 4th, and Wichita State clinging to a 3-2 lead here on the Sunday afternoon finale of this 3-game set. Matt Warren will be facing Jacob Catsby, Jordan Boyer, and Luke Ritter. It's the 8, 9, and 1 hitters coming to the plate for the Shockers. They have scored a single run in each of the first 3 innings. It was Mason O'Brien with an RBI ground out in the first, Luke Ritter a 2-out RBI double in the second, And then Mason O'Brien coming through again in the third with an RBI single. Catesby played a part in that second inning rally when he reached on a one-out walk. Checks his swing and takes a strike. He then stole second, advanced to third on a throwing error, and came around to score. Warren has only walked 2, but both have come back to bite him. The one-out walk to Catesby in the second, and the leadoff free pass to Bohm in the third, both coming home to roost. And he had only walked 1 in his previous 2 starts coming into play today.
Well, and that leadoff walk to Catesby last time kind of functioned, or I'm sorry, the one-out walk to Catesby last time kind of functioned like a leadoff walk because Catesby ended up stealing second base. And then that allowed Luke Ritter to come through later on in that inning. So it's just one of those things. You never want to walk anybody, but you definitely don't want to walk the leadoff guy and give a team an out to play with or 2 outs to play with.
Catesby hanging in there, just gets a piece, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
But those are kind of the mistakes that it seems like Matt Warren doesn't typically make, you know, and that's kind of where this game has kind of taken on an odd feeling.
Catesby working a good at-bat, runs it full, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
You have a guy who has as much experience as Matt Warren on the mound, and he's out there just grinding, and yet he's given up 3 runs.
Little check swing by Catesby. Not sure he meant to do it. Not sure it was going to be a strike, but he does stay alive and continues to work away at the pitch count of Warren, which is now up over 50.
Yeah, not too bad for a starter, right? He's still kind of in the ballpark of where you want to be.
High fly ball into right field, but a little off the end of the bat. Schreiber retreated initially, but then comes on to make the catch.
Well, we mentioned it last inning on the ball that the third baseman Roscom kind of had struck out there. It's just not kind of the day to hit a lazy fly ball to right. And this ball a little bit higher, and you see the wind kind of just pushes it a little bit more towards right center, but not enough action, not enough firmness.
Jordan Boyer popped out into shallow right his first time up. Had a chance to score Catesby from third with less than 2 outs and didn't do so, but the man in the on-deck circle, Luke Ritter, picked him up. Cut and a miss. There's a look at that off-speed pitch that Warren has deployed at times this afternoon to pretty good effectiveness, 79 miles an hour, and had Boyer looking for something else. Back up the middle and on into center field. Jordan Boyer's second hit of the series.
I kind of got a feeling with Boyer in his last at bat that he just felt a little off balance, and that time he takes a very pure swing and sends the ball right back up the middle. And that's something with both of these starters today. You're going to see this ball go right back up the box. Both teams have kind of seemed to simplify that approach, not trying to do too much because the way the wind is working, just send it right back up the middle.
Ritter through the left side. Luke Ritter, a 3-hit day already. Jordan Boyer up to second and holding, but man, is that good to see for Shocker fans.
Well, Ritter has certainly had the beat on Matt Warren for all of Warren's success today. Almost half the hits that he's been giving up have been surrendered to Luke Ritter.
He's got 3 of the 7 and a 3-hit day already here in the 4th inning as he smacks it between Roscom and Altavilla. And this is exactly where you want to be if you're Wichita State. 2 aboard with Grayson Genesta coming up. Singled up the middle his first time up, and then Rapinski made a sliding stop to take away a hit in the second. Grounded to the right side into right field, a base hit. They're going to wave around Boyer and now stop him. A late stop sign as Genesta slides safely back into first. But it looked for all the world as if Sammy Esposito was giving Jordan Boyer the green light until a last-second stop sign slammed on the brakes.
That's what we call the emergency brake, didn't he? He put on the full-bore stop right as Boyer hit the third base bag. And instead of trying to chop his feet, Boyer's just going to sit down. He's coming hard, and he gets the green light all the way till he hits the base and just turns that into a slide.
Great work from our camera crew there to capture that, and you you really do see how much of a split-second decision it is for a third base coach and also for a runner, which has to go hard the whole way. And a lot of times third base coaches will wave initially to make the runner run as fast as possible. If you're giving them an initial stop sign, guys will kind of take it easy into third, and then if there's a bobble, they can't score.
Well, and there's a dual purpose, too, because sometimes as a fielder, you're peeking to see what that third base coach is doing, so you know if the guy's going to go, what kind of throw you're going to have to make, if you got to get it in quickly or you got to make the throw all the way to the plate. So the late stop allows to put pressure on the defense.
Alec Boehm, late swing on a fastball that kind of tied him up inside, 0-1. Shockers with the bases loaded and 1 out, already leading 3-2, and they have tagged Matt Warren for 8 hits through 3 1/3 innings. That's already gotten some activity down in the Nebraska pen. Did it hit him? Almost. Thought it might have caught some of that gold jersey, but Alec Boehm just does get out of the way. Boyer, Ritter, Genesta. The speed gets better as you work from third to first for Wichita State. Grounded foul.
I tip the cap to the Shockers. This is the start of the third time through the order. And for a team that can drive the baseball, starting with Boyer, they have just been content to drive the pitch for singles. They've found pretty much every single hole here in the 4th inning.
1-2 is low. Good block by Wilkening as they try to get Boehm to expand out of the strike zone. He struck out his first time up on a fastball down and then reached on a walk, came around to score in the 3rd.
Is Boehm 2 for 2 with the bases loaded this year?
High drive, deep left field. Forget about it. Alec Boehm, his 2nd grand slam of the series, his 3rd home run of the series, and Wichita State ahead 7-2.
His 3rd grand slam of the year, too. He has just found a way to come up big, and to come up big against Nebraska. Two-2 pitch, and he does not miss it. What an incredible start to the year for Alec Boehm.
This kid is fun to watch. The Nebraska kid from Omaha victimizing his home state, and that is going to be all for Matt Warren. We'll tell you about the new Nebraska arm when we come back. It is 7-2 Shockers on WSU TV.
Got a quarter?
Matt Warren departs after 3 1/3 innings, having surrendered 7 runs, 6 of which were earned, and 4 of them came on this swing of the bat. A grand slam from Alec Boehm, his 3rd grand slam of 2018 already. And with the wind blowing out and his power, you figured it was almost a matter of time, but that one, very little doubt.
He's averaging a grand slam every 3 games. How remarkable is that to think about? Another thing, too, is the fact that Matt Warren had only given up 1 home run in his collegiate career before that.
I've been told that average for grand slams per game is good. I've got someone in my ear who is letting me know that that is a good average for Alec Boehm, and he has marked the departure of Matt Warren. Nebraska goes to the pen and calls upon freshman right-hander Paul Tillotson. Goes 6'2", 205 pounds from Monument, Colorado, and he'll be on to face Dayton Dugas with the bases clear and 1 out, and the Shockers now in front 7-2.
There you see the numbers for Tillotson, making his 3rd appearance on the season, and he has been pretty effective for Darren Erstad thus far.
Dugas takes in tight. He has been aboard twice, and it's been an adventure for him in a lot of ways on the base pass. He reached on an error his first time up, hit a little Q-shot single right out in front of the plate, got out to second base, and then was picked off. So he has had more than a full day's worth of excitement as he swings through the 1-0.
Speaking of excitement, I mean, we can't undersell this enough of how fun this Shocker team is to watch right now. And when you have a guy who already has 17 RBI through 8 and not even halfway through game number 9, he's got 3 grand slams sitting in the middle of the lineup. Certainly want to see Shocker fans come out this week and next weekend too. If you can't make it out today, this is a fun one to take part in.
Shocker marketing department, I had an offer for free tickets with anyone who attended the men's basketball game that wrapped up just before first pitch over here at X Stadium. And as a result, a decent crowd on hand. Plenty of red sprinkled in the lower bowl as well. Dugas off the end of the bat into left field, and a diving catch out there by Hagge. Great play by Mojo Hagge to take away extra bases from Dayton Dugas.
And Dugas just muscles this one out to left field as the ball just continues to jump off his back. But Hagge gets a great jump, and he has to extend to make the catch. Sometimes guys kind of have to dive, kind of have to slide. He had to extend there, otherwise he wasn't going to get to that one.
So now it's Mason O'Brien, but a web gem of a defensive play from Hagge. Full extension. And if that skips by him with Dugas' speed, he might be standing on third. O'Brien has had another productive afternoon. 2 RBI for him already. Run scoring ground out back in the first, and then a solid line drive RBI single into right field back in the third. Tillotson almost drilled as Mason O'Brien is scorching baseballs right now. A heat-seeking missile that missed Paul Tillotson by about 1/4 of an inch.
That's a scary one for a pitcher. Don't mean to make too much light of it, but that'll give you a very short haircut as O'Brien just goes right back up the middle. And Tillotson did really the only thing he could do and try and get that arm up to protect his head. But the Shockers aren't missing too many pitches today.
This is a team locked in, swinging the bats right now. Noah Croft watches a strike. He's happy to see Warren out of there. Warren recorded 2 of his 3 punch-outs against the Shocker backstop. Final line for the Nebraska starter, by the way, 3 1/3 innings, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 9 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned. Croft out in front, 0-2.
He had been so efficient, Matt Warren had, through his first 2 starts, and the Shockers really never let him off the hook today. And then just exploding here in the 4th thanks to Alec Boehm.
Tillotson has worked multiple innings in each of his first 2 outings for Nebraska this season. He went 2 scoreless in their 8-3 victory over Washington State with a strikeout. And then he worked 3 shutout frames in their 4-2 extra inning victory over Utah. Allowed just a hit and a walk over those 3 innings. 1-2. Strike 3 called, and Noah Croft has the hat trick, but Wichita State has a 7-2 lead courtesy of the grand slam from Alec Boehm. We move into the 5th. 7-2 Shockers on WSU TV.
Hi.
You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Alec Boehm's 5th home run of the season has given Wichita State a 7-2 lead into the top of the 5th inning, and some nice breathing room for Connor Lungwitz to work with, as he has now posted a couple of zeros sandwiched around a couple of single tallies. He'll face 9, 1, and 2 in the Nebraska order. It's Athey, Hagge, and Rapinski. 2 lefties and a righty due up. Another chance for a Connor Lungwitz shutdown inning.
Well, he worked around a single to start off the 4th against Wilkening. And he has been very good today. He's induced a lot of balls right at his defense, allowed his defense to be active. But at the same time, he has filled it up mostly with strikes.
Athey, first pitch swinging into left center field. That's down for a hit. Genesta will cut it off deep in the gap and will hold him on to a leadoff single. But Nebraska getting the leadoff man on in now 4 of the first 5 innings.
Well, Athey just kind of feels like a streaky guy, right? He came into this series looking for his first hit, and that's a ball outer part of the plate that he does a great job of just driving middle away. And tell you what, his last 3 plate appearances, he hasn't gotten out.
That 0 for 14 to start the season feels a long way in the rearview mirror as we're back to the top for Mojo Hagge. Takes a ball outside, made a sparkling defensive play in the last half inning with a headlong dive to rob Dayton Duga.
We've seen outfielders have to work this weekend. I think a Grayson Genesta's catch early on Friday. I believe it was Ben Klenke who made a fantastic catch in right yesterday, but that catch by Hagge might be up there for one of the best of this series.
Have you ever seen a mustache that looks more like a guy named Mojo Hagge?
Not in the last 100 years.
Right. That pretty much fits the bill. Swinging on 2-0, and he lashes it into right field. Back-to-back hits for the Huskers to start matters here in the top of the 5th.
Well, Connor Lungwitz has the right idea. He is still being aggressive and attacking in the zone, even with the big lead, especially with the big lead. But Nebraska kind of has that sniffed out, and now we're starting the 3rd time through the lineup for Nebraska. This is a ball that missed the spot in the plate. Croft wanted it away, and Hagge just rips the ball down the middle through the right side.
And we're getting into the dangerous part of the Husker order as Zach Rapinski comes up. Lined out to deep center his first time, then reached on a very odd 4-9-6 fielder's choice. When he popped it into shallow right field, Luke Ritter couldn't come up with it, but Dayton Duga recovered to get the out at second on a force out. Takes a strike. Nebraska fans not so sure.
Well, both Athey and Rapinski came in hitless into this series, and you got to tip the cap to Darren Erstad. And you see it a lot with former big leaguers who turn into coaches at the college level. Sometimes other college programs will kind of have a revolving door. You don't get a hit in a series, okay, you're going to sit for the next series. But Erstad sticks with his guys. He's shuffled this lineup around and shown faith.
Left side, tough play, no play. Jordan Boyer did his best just to knock it down as Rapinski chopped it into no man's land above the outstretched glove of Alec Boehm and hit far too slow for Jordan Boyer to do anything with it.
That's another tough one, and Boehm was just trying to get to anything he could. And that high hop didn't come down for a long time. It ends up short hopping Boyer. Not sure that he would have had a play even if he was able to get to it cleanly.
So Nebraska an opportunity to get at least a couple back after Bohm's grand slam in the last half inning. Bases loaded, nobody out for Altavilla. Flown out to left and singled in 2 trips. Switch hitter batting from the left side. Lungwitz steals a strike.
And you've arrived at the scary part of the Nebraska lineup. Altavilla, you feel like, is also right on track to break out. Then behind him, Schreiber and Wilkening, 2 of the bats who've carried this Husker offense thus far.
Lungwitz working out of the stretch with the bases loaded. Runners are Athey at third, Hagge at second, Rapinski at first, all singles. And the Shocker bullpen begins to work. Clayton McGinnis is up and throwing with Lungwitz closing in on 60 pitches.
Now you're ground ball away from being able to breathe a little bit easier right now, but Altavilla is a guy who runs well. A lot of good speed on the bases for Nebraska, especially at second and first.
Tried the back foot breaking ball, and Altavilla had to skip out of the way to avoid being hit in the foot. 2 balls and a strike. As you mentioned, had a very slow start to this series. Just 1 hit on Friday, was held hitless yesterday, and almost got himself an RBI the easy way right here.
Watch that back foot. Just kind of danced out of the way. Wry smile from the Husker shortstop.
2-1. Low. Lungwitz has painted himself into a corner.
Now he's missed on a couple of spots here. That single by Rapinski right before was a ball that Croft wanted away that Lungwitz caught a lot of plate on, and that was kind of the same thing. Luckily, it was down and not a pitch that Altavilla would offer at.
(3-1). Takes a strike. Borderline on the outside edge. Altavilla had a notion, and Lungwitz runs it full.
That outside corner on both sides of the plate today has been wide, and I kind of feel like it's getting a little bit wider. But Connor Lungwitz will say, I will take it. It has gone both ways, I'll tell you that.
Important pitch in this ball game coming up. 3-2, bases loaded. High drive into right field. Dugas retreating in front of the warning track. Slides and makes the catch. All 3 runners will tag as the throw goes into the middle of the diamond. But Dayton Dugas saves a couple of runs with a sliding catch.
Well, a very important catch. Number 1 to get the out, but then number 2 to prevent any more than just the 1 run. And everybody had to tag up there. Even Rapinski, knowing that that would take Dugas back, and Dayton had to do everything he could just to stay with it.
Todd Butler, a long, slow walk out of the first base dugout, and he is going to bring the hook with him. Has signaled down to the right field pen, and that will be all for Connor Lungwitz. We'll tell you about the new Shocker pitcher when we come back. It's 7-3 Wichita State on WSU TV.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Charles Koch Arena is the place where we gather as a community to compete against the very best. Now our game plan is to renovate Koch Arena by adding a new student-athlete success center. Your tax-deductible gift can help deliver that slam dunk. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Wichita State makes a move to the bullpen, and they call upon junior right-hander Clayton McGinnis, who has certainly been very busy through the first 8+ games, and he has been very good as well. The right-hander from Amazonia, Missouri, 6 total innings of work. He has only allowed 2 hits over those 6 frames, and just 1 run. 3 strikeouts to 2 walks. Has kind of evolved into a setup man, but not in your traditional sense of here's the 8th inning. He comes on whenever there's trouble, whether that's the 6th, the 7th, or the 8th, and in this case, he's coming on in the 5th.
Well, it's old school fireman. It's kind of the idea that where the reliever first kind of came out of, a guy to come out and extinguish a tough situation. And as far as this series goes, I don't think there's any tougher situation than 2nd and 3rd with Nebraska's Scott Schreiber coming up.
Schreiber is 0 for 2. Reached on an error back in the 1st that drove home the first Nebraska run, and then grounded into a 6-4 fielder's choice to end the 3rd. The 2 runners aboard at 2nd and 3rd, Hagge and Rapinski, both the responsibility of Connor Lungwitz, who exits after 4 1/3 innings. Did not go the required 5 to be eligible for the victory. McGinnis has fallen behind Schreiber. 2 balls and no strikes. A guy with big-time power. We told you already in his sophomore season at Nebraska, he had 16 home runs and 55 RBI. Launched 7 more long balls last year. Has 1 of Nebraska's 3 round trippers this season.
He's a pretty complete hitter, too. You do have first base to work with, which would set up the force again, but Jesse Wilkening, not necessarily the guy you want to deal with either.
Well, that may be the situation that McGinnis is going to face here shortly. He's fallen behind Schreiber, 3 balls and no strikes. Would set up a potential double play in a guy in Wilkening who doesn't run particularly well. But in this game, I feel like there's going to be a lot more runs to be had than 7-3. And any kind of base runner immediately puts themselves in scoring position. Schreiber had the green light on 3-0, pops it up, might be playable, just did get into the first row of seats as O'Brien raced over towards the netting.
We've talked about it all weekend, and O'Brien knows that you better not take a chance and let that one possibly drift back onto the field along that first baseline. You want to get over to that railing as quickly as possible. But going back to your point, interesting to see the green light given to Schreiber there. Nebraska feels like he may be the best opportunity to get both of those runs in.
3-1. Missed the outside edge, and Schreiber draws the walk. So the bases are reloaded with 1 out for Jesse Wilkening.
Well, you never like seeing walks, especially from a guy coming fresh out of the bullpen, but it may not be the worst case scenario there, because now you set up the force everywhere and allow McGinnis, who has been adept at getting a ground ball, to work on Wilkening, the catcher.
Wilkening struck out looking against Lungwitz in the 1st, singled leading off the 4th. Now, 2 for 9 in this series. McGinnis, 93-mile-an-hour fastball, but he spiked it down and away.
Shocker infield is back, and that is because they're going to play for the double play. You see Bohm deep at 3rd, and O'Brien deep at 1st, with Boyer and Ritter pinched up the middle. They know they have some time with Wilkening. That's the other thing. Make sure you get a good hop on the ground ball.
This feels like one of those days in which outs are going to be tough to come by. And this is a pivotal spot for Clayton McGinnis. Spiked another fastball. Croft is going to call time and try and calm down his right-hander.
A little more erratic than we've seen from McGinnis coming out, but trying to gain his footing, get his feel on the mound as he regroups. He has been excellent so far, Denning, as you mentioned. A variety of roles, a variety of situations, including a very good inning of work to back up Cody Hoyer on Friday.
Through the wickets of Croft, runner coming to the plate, and he'll be in there safely. So a 2-0 breaking ball from Clayton McGinnis sails right through Noah Croft, and it's a 7-4 game.
Well, we'll see this one again. Is this a breaking ball? I believe that was never really skipped. It just seemed like it went right through Croft. Croft late getting down. Hagge read it all the way.
So a 3-0 count. Now runners at second and third, 1 out. McGinnis pours in a strike, but has had a tough time finding the zone. Only 2 strikes since entering out of the bullpen, and that run allowed will go to Connor Lungwitz. Still one of his out there at third base as this situation has gotten a little more precarious. Wilkening into right center field. That's going to score 2. Genesta cuts it off in deep right center. Wilkening will head to second, be in there sliding, and it's a 7-6 game.
That right there is the biggest hit of the weekend for Nebraska, as they have cashed in pretty much most of their opportunities today, and this one probably the biggest. 2 guys out there in scoring position, and Wilkening just drives it into right center field, and he replaces Schreiber at second base to keep the pressure on Clayton McGinnis and the Shockers.
So 4 in the bottom half of the 4th for Wichita State, 4 in the top half of the 5th for Nebraska, and still batting as Luke Roskin stands in 0 for 2, 2 lineouts to Dayton Dugas in right. Most important thing coming out of a bullpen, the ability to throw strikes. Clayton McGinnis has not had it.
Absolutely.
Walked Schreiber on 5 pitches, fell behind Wilkening 3-1, gave him a fastball elevated, and if you're going to put yourself in hitters' counts, you're going to have a hard time getting outs.
Absolutely, and I think that as you get behind and you allow guys who haven't seen you the ability to track the pitches.
Roscom again into deep right field. This one's not going to be caught. It will hop off the base of the wall. Heading around third to score is Wilkening. Into second with a double is Roscom, and we are tied at 7.
Well, once again, another huge hit for the Cornhuskers. And you can sense every bit of frustration that they've had in this series coming out here today. As Roscom, who has drilled a couple of balls out that way, finally got his timing down and found the gap. And we got a whole new ball game.
Good old-fashioned Sunday fight at the bat rack with both teams piling up a combined 18 hits and 14 runs, and we're in the top of the 5th. Todd Butler out and making another move to the pen. We'll tell you about Mr. Chandler Sandburn when we come back. This is WSU TV.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
6 of 7 Nebraska hitters have reached here in the top of the 5th inning, and they've already got 5 runs across, prompting another Wichita State move to the bullpen as right-hander Chandler Sandburn will appear in back-to-back ball games for the Shockers. He was electric yesterday, a scoreless 7th inning in which he struck out the side on just 11 pitches, and a number that really jumps off the screen at you, 12 strikeouts in just 5 1/3 innings of work.
Well, he's a power arm, and we saw that on full display yesterday, and now he's going to be called upon in a big situation. You know, you look at the beginning of this inning for the Shockers, and Connor Lungwitz got into a little bit of trouble as he seemed to run out of gas, but Nebraska has really found a lot of their swings, and now you face maybe one of the better hitters in the lineup who's kind of hidden towards the back end of it. And it's an important situation with the go-ahead run on second base.
So we're right back at square one, 7 apiece here in the top of the 5th. Luis Alvarado standing in 0 for 2. Line out to second base, then reached on a fielder's choice his last time up, but has struck it well both times. Fastball leans him back at 94.
Well, this is important momentum too, Denny. You think about it, Nebraska has had one lead at any point in this series, and that came in the top of the first today before the Shockers immediately tied the game up in the bottom of the inning. Outside of that, the Shockers have been in control, and Nebraska has been searching for any sort of confidence.
Here's a strike from Sandburn. Cornhuskers have been playing from behind virtually this whole series. Shocker bullpen, outside of maybe a little bit of shakiness on Friday, had allowed Wichita State to play comfortably through these first 2 games, but that has changed in a big way here on Sunday. Late swing from Alvarado, and he's down 1-2.
Well, Sandberg's big fastball has played well thus far in this series. Yesterday it was fantastic. 94-97. He's come out and sat at 94 so far today.
Roscom, the runner at second after his RBI double. 97 from Sandburn, but he missed high and outside. Paul Tillotson got the last 2 outs for Nebraska a long time ago in the bottom half of the 4th. There's some stretching and throwing going on down in their pen, but I imagine it will be him back out for the bottom half once we get there. Inside move from Sandburn, looking Roscom back to the bag at second, just in case he had any ideas. 1 for 1 in stolen bases on the season. Two balls, 2 strikes. Swing and a miss. No reason to go away from it as Alvarado looked late the entire at-bat, and Sandburn blows him away with 96.
Well, that's a big out, as that finally helps you settle down a little bit and certainly welcomes Chandler Sandburn into the game. Upper 90s fastball, that is right by you.
That's now 13 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings. So well over 2 per frame as he deals with Jackson Hallmark, 9th man to bat in the inning for the Huskers. Hallmark 0 for 2, struck out looking and bounced into a fielder's choice, both at-bats against the starter Lungwitz, whose line is now closed. 4 1/3 innings for him on 65 pitches, allows 6 hits and 5 runs, 4 earned, 2 strikeouts and no walks. How do we feel about the outing from Connor Lungwitz today?
Well, I think up until this inning, you felt pretty good about how he was throwing. And, you know, it kind of gets disguised a little bit. Clayton McGinnis come out and struggled to throw strikes and ends up surrendering the 2 guys that were left on base. But Lungwitz was aggressive for the most part. It's tough to say. You know, I think ultimately it was kind of right in the middle of his other 2 starts so far this year. He gets you a little bit longer than the start at McNeese. Obviously, it doesn't quite compare to last weekend against Omaha. But I also give Nebraska a lot of credit today. They have come up with a lot of big hits, and they have taken some very tough at-bats.
Did he go around? Yes, he did. Sandburn's back in the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. I think we started to see it late from Nebraska yesterday, putting together better at-bats. In the 8th inning, they had a couple of singles, but a double play turned aside that scoring opportunity. And then, of course, they got 2 in the 9th with a line out mixed in there that could have drastically changed that inning. So you started to see it towards the tail end of yesterday's ball game that this Husker offense might be starting to figure things out. Swing and a miss. Chandler Sandburn, the fireman, throws a little water on the Flames, and he gets Wichita State out of the top of the 5th, but not before the Huskers strike for 5. We move into the home half. Our new score, 7 apiece on WSU TV.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Huskers and Shockers throwing haymakers back and forth as Wichita State puts up 4 in the bottom half of the 4th. The Huskers respond with 5 of their own in the top half of the 5th, and we are back to square one. 7 apiece as Paul Tillotson comes out for his first full inning of work to face the bottom 3 in the Shocker order.
Well, the Shockers have had plenty of crooked numbers this weekend that have really kind of dictated this series, but give credit to Nebraska for responding after the Shockers throw up their first crooked number of the game. They come back with their biggest inning of the weekend, and they just came out hitting. They rifled through 2 Shocker pitchers, finally got to Chandler Sandburn to get out of that inning.
It's Travis Young. Takes high to start things here in the bottom half of the 5th. Travis has been retired twice, once on a grounder to short, and last time up flew it all the way to the wall in deepest center field before Hallmark ran it down. Tillotson got a line drive to left field that Hagee made a great catch on for the first out. Allowed a single to O'Brien and then struck out Noah Croft.
Tillotson, one of the trusted arms in this Nebraska pen that we hadn't seen up until today. A couple guys between Tillotson, I believe Palkert, as well as Jake Hohensee, the 3 guys that Darren Erstad has relied on for shutdown innings. Tillotson able to maybe give you a couple innings here.
Travis Young had squared to bunt on the previous pitch. Now he takes high and away and is ahead in the count 3-1. Shockers would love to get him on leading off the frame.
Lots of speed, such a catalyst.
3-1. Strike, I guess, on the inside corner. Maybe a bit of a makeup call from home plate umpire Seth Buckminster. You said it. The inside corner has been extended a little bit.
I thought it was the outside corner before, but yeah, this one looks like it's well off the plate inside. Had a lot of run to it. Maybe it nipped the corner at the very front of the plate.
Well, it's ball 4 on the next one as Travis Young flips the bat down towards the first base dugout. The Shockers get themselves a leadoff runner 1 pitch later.
Well, then you and Shane Dennis yesterday were talking about what Young does, and you mentioned that he has the ability to kind of function as a second leadoff guy, and that is very true, and it's part of the necessity of getting him on base. Now you have guys like Catsby and Boyer who've been swinging it very well. Even Luke Ritter has had a pretty good series coming to the plate before Genesta and Bohm, so a good opportunity to answer back for Wichita State.
And how frustrating is that for Darren Erstad to put up a 5 spot in the top half of this inning and then walk the leadoff man? Young is going, and Catsby bunts it foul. So a little bunt and run action. Travis on the move, and Catsby trying to lay it down.
How many times did you see the Shockers put on a bunt and run last year? And you got 2 very speedy guys out there. It looks like Catsby, we'll see another look at it. He's going to be on top of this ball. And just, jabbed at it. I think that's exactly the way to describe it, instead of getting the bat out and just making contact.
A little more traditional effort this time. It's going to be gloved, and there's no one at the bag. Catsby safe. Tillotson couldn't decide whether he wanted to tag Catsby or flip it to first. And credit to Jacob hustling the whole way. The Shockers have 2 on with nobody out.
Well, that's what speed does. Just a little bit of indecision right back at the pitcher, Tillotson. And by the time he realized he was going to have to make a tag, Catsby was by him.
So a bunt single for Jacob Catsby, and Wichita State in business. 2 on, nobody out for Jordan Boyer.
You know, that's a tough one going back to that bunt, because you either have to be committed to the tag all the way, or you have to give your second baseman time to field it. And that's a situation where Catsby just placed the bunt in a perfect spot. You make the pitcher field it, first baseman's got to come off, and that allows him to use his speed to get on base.
Boyer's bunting back to the mound. Only going to be one play. It's to first. Sacrifice completed as Tillotson slings it across to Rapinski, and 2 in scoring position with 1 out.
I really love this inning for the Shockers, as this sets up, you know, sometimes people shy away from the bunt, but the bunt can be used as an aggressive play, an attacking play. And that's exactly what the Shockers do. Back-to-back plays make Tillotson, the pitcher, a fielder, make him defend his position, and now you got 2 guys in scoring position ready to answer back.
Tillotson's going to work out of the stretch, and he had Luke Ritter chasing a breaking ball. Luke has been red hot in the ballgame today. 3 hits and 3 trips, 2 singles and a double. He's driven home a run and scored 2.
Do you feel like that homer yesterday got him going?
I feel like he'd been hitting the ball hard consistently and just hadn't had a whole lot of luck. But now he will have to battle. Down, no balls and 2 strikes. He had a lot of line drives right at defenders, but they don't play behind the fence. Doesn't take that here to drive home a run. Nebraska has the infield back for the most part. The corners pinched in a little bit. Squibb to the right side. That's going to be a tough play. The throw to first is in time on a bang-bang play. But Ritter does get the run home on the RBI ground out, and it's 8-7 Wichita State.
Well, if this one isn't crazy enough for you, that's just a good play all around that's going to get the job done. Your classic 4-1 putout. We've had a lot of weird defensive plays, but it's hit hard enough to get by Alvarado, but give credit to the pitcher Tillotson covering. That looked really close.
Luke Ritter probably has a pretty decent argument for being safe at first base, but nonetheless, Wichita State has responded with a run here in the bottom half of the 5th. And now they get Genesta up there with another one just 90 feet away. He's first pitch swinging, drives it into left center field. On the run, Hallmark. He'll make the catch before bumping into the fence. So Grayson Genesta hits it a long way, but it ends in a Nebraska glove. And it's 8-7 Wichita State moving to the 6th.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
Wichita State has scored in every inning, but they only have a 1-run lead to work with as we move into the top half of the 6th. Luke Ritter's RBI ground out in the bottom half of the 5th inning. The only thing separating Wichita State and Nebraska is The testiness that had emerged in the first 2 games of this series continuing a little bit after Genista's flyout. There were some words exchanged between Grayson and first baseman Luis Alvarado. It's pretty clear that neither one of these teams willing to give an inch in the series finale.
Well, this has been a fight. We've kind of seen everything in this one in the culmination of what has been a pretty testy series. Even though the Shockers have put up some big numbers, you feel like Nebraska has been frustrated, just kind of a couple of steps behind. But now trading blows kind of step for step. Here in this game, the emotions feel like they're heightened quite a bit.
It's 9-1-2 for Nebraska here in the 6th, starting with Athey and Hagge and Rapinski to follow. Chandler Sandburn is back out for a full inning of work. Came on with a runner at second and 1 out in the 5th, and promptly struck out Alvarado and Hallmark. He's now faced 5 in the series, struck out 5.
I feel like somebody had a conversation with Chandler either prior to this series or prior to this season. At some point, he's kind of teased that off-speed pitch, but he has really gone after guys with that fastball.
Here's a good one, a 95, painting the outside edge, 2 balls and a strike.
And not everybody carries a mid-90s fastball that just jumps out of their hand. Don't give them a shot at the off-speed pitch.
Athey triggers and holds up 3-1.
He has stayed aggressive. Kind of seems like he's lost command a little bit here to start the at-bat to Athey.
Shockers have shown the value in getting free passes. They've drawn 3 walks and they've all scored. Sandburn issues a leadoff free pass to start the 6th.
Well, Athey kind of fits into the category of a few guys this weekend who came in down in the dumps and all of a sudden can't get out. And Athey in that 9 spot getting on base today has certainly helped turn the lineup over consistently to the top of the lineup. That has had a lot more success today.
Big swing and a miss from Hagge, 0-1. He's been aboard twice, a couple of singles, come around to score each time. It's the kind of game that as a pitching coach can drive you crazy. An offensive environment that's already pretty conducive to putting up big numbers, and pitching staffs handing out free passes. Good strike right at the knees from Sandburn, and he is in the driver's seat, 0-2.
That looked like it had a ton of movement. And not looking at the monitors, thinking that it might have been an off-speed pitch, and come back and look at the radar gun, it's 95.
So Hagge forced into protect mode. And Sandburn nearly got him to chase a wicked slider moving down and in.
Well, there's that breaking ball, and he'll at least tease it. That was a good idea after getting leverage on Hagge. Guy who's put together a lot of good at-bats for Nebraska this weekend.
Lined on a hop to second, should be 2, to second base for 1, on to first, 4, 6, 3. The Shockers roll it up.
Well, I don't want to be kind of overly gratuitous with this, but it's almost like Sandberg got done striking guys out and finds a different way to get you out, gets the ground ball and turns in the double play. And Hagge, who's very quick, just couldn't beat it out right at Ritter, and that ignites the double play.
So a chance for an endangered species, a scoreless inning. If Chandler Sandburn can retire Rapinski, he's off to a good start. Deals a strike on the outside corner. Rapinski's been on twice and scored twice, and has also lined out to center. Nobody's been an easy out in this ball game.
I will say, though, Denny, Nebraska has chosen to score in the odd number innings today, so it does kind of fit in the rhythm if Sandburn's able to stick with it.
I'm sure that's a conscious choice on their part.
That's not what I said.
And they will hold off until the 7th. There's a lot of numbers up there right now. Let's just put it that way. Nebraska turned aside in the second and fourth. Shockers have scored in every other inning. Strike, and Sandburn's ahead 1-2.
I love the slider there because that opens up a lot of opportunities here for Sandburn. Great pitch, catches the inside corner and gets the call.
One ball, two strikes. Swing and a miss. Chandler Sandburn is pumping gas, and he sets down Nebraska in the sixth thanks to a double play and a strikeout into the home half. It's 8-7 Wichita State on WSU TV. Eight-7 Shockers, bottom half of the sixth inning at X Stadium. Chandler Sandburn inducing a double play and then striking out Zach Rapinski to post a 0 in the top half of this inning. And Shockers with a chance to get a little more breathing room. They'll have a good part of the order up to do so. Alec Boehm, Dayton Dugas, Mason O'Brien, 3, 4, and 5 as Paul Tillotson is back out for another inning of work.
I feel like Nebraska kind of showing some of that frustration against Sandburn. He has been tough, and that fastball has been just an absolute weapon for him in this series. And as a result, he's been a key cog in helping the Shockers get to where they've been.
Alec Boehm hit a grand slam his last time up, already his 5th home run of the season. 17 RBI now for the young man. Those stats there on your monitor not reflective of his performance so far today. He has also walked and scored.
Five home runs on the year. Well, after this one, it'll be 9 games. 3 of those 5 are grand slams.
Good way to get runs home. Is very efficient. He's ahead 2 balls into strike. And it just seems like he keeps finding himself up in those run-producing spots. Shows you the value in having Luke Ritter having a good performance. When he is aboard consistently, then you can't pitch around Genesta, and you got to go after Boehm, and it just really snowballs. Not sure Tillotson wants anything to do with Boehm here. He's down 3-1.
Well, one thing with Boehm, too, and we've talked about the power a ton, but something that's getting scouts' attention, it's really getting the baseball industry's attention, is how patient he is, how much of a complete hitter he can be. And you see him draw the walk there. He's not a guy who you can just throw anything up there and watch him get himself out. He has become so disciplined, and I think that's something in those situations. He's not just going to make a mistake because you throw it up there. He's not pressing in those at-bats. It's just the natural talent that when you do throw him a pitch that he's looking for, he's going to hunt it out and he's going to drive it.
Shockers, after not walking in the ballgame yesterday, have walked 4 times so far today. Dayton Dugas down and outside. Nice backhand stop by Wilkening. He's been solid behind the plate for Nebraska in this series. Has made a couple of really highlight reel picks.
He's been a wall back there, and he's showcased a lot of the reasons why the attention is on him as one of their leaders, as one of their anchors.
Swing and a miss by Dugas. There you get a look at Jesse Wilkening, 5'10", 200-pound junior from Cedar Lake, Indiana. Another one of these Nebraska Cornhuskers who was drafted and elected not to sign. He went in the 28th round to the Diamondbacks back in 2015. And he can't stop this one. Bounces away from him, gets all the way back to the screen. Bohm's going to try for three. Wilkening sets, throws. It is not in time. Bohm kept a foot on the bag. He can do it all. First to third on a pitch that goes all the way to the backstop, and no hesitation from Alec Bohm.
He never stopped. And that's the incredible thing. As soon as this one kicks away, you feel like Alec knew that he was going to have a shot to get to third. Wilkening took a long time to find it, and he still made a good throw, but Bohm kept that long leg on the bag.
Dugas takes a strike on a fastball running inside.
You see this play one more time, and you see the jump that Bohm gets, and he takes it like he's going first to third on a single in the outfield.
Dugas just takes a fastball up and in, and it's now full at 3-2. Nebraska initially had their infield in. Now they have pushed them back. The corners with Roscom and Alvarado remain about even with their respective bases. There you see it. Alvarado well off the first base bag. 3-2. Walked him. Good eye from Dayton Dugan. The Shockers have men at the corners.
Well, Tillotson, who came in back in the fourth inning, was throwing strikes and was aggressive. And after that leadoff walk to Alec Bohm, he's seemed to lose the feel for the strike zone a bit.
He's up to 35 pitches in relief for Nebraska. And there's more right-handed activity beginning down in their left field pen. Wichita State's bullpen is quiet. Might indicate that Chandler Sandburn's going to get a chance to come back out for the 7th. But for the time being, it's Mason O'Brien against Paul Tillotson. Good guy to have up there for Wichita State. 2 for 3. He's already driven home a couple of runs. Back foot's a breaking ball.
Well, kind of be interesting as the season plays out to see exactly where Todd Butler sticks O'Brien and Duga, if he likes this setup with Duga at 4, or if he goes back to O'Brien in the cleanup spot where Mason started the year. So alternate left, right, left, right.
Tops a breaking ball up along the first baseline. Ball and a strike.
But I think ultimately, and you kind of touched on this in the starting lineups, the Shockers have a lot of really good balance between Genesta, left-handed hitting, O'Brien left-handed hitting, Katsky today at the bottom of the lineup, another left-handed bat. But then you have Bohm from the right side as well as Duga.
Up the middle and on into center field, a base hit. Dugas going to make the turn at second. He will cruise over to third. It's an RBI single for Mason O'Brien, and it's 9-7 Wichita State.
Well, Mason O'Brien showing another approach to all these grand slams that the Shockers have been hitting in terms of collecting RBIs, and that's to pretty much get one every time he comes up. 3 different at-bats today with an RBI, and just another simple piece of hitting right back up the box. He has hit the ball hard pretty much every at-bat he's had here at X Stadium.
That may spell the end for Paul Tillotson. Right-hander has been warming down in the pen. The Shockers are going to go to a pinch hitter as Alex Jackson has been announced. And a meeting on the mound has begun. No signal yet down the left field line. Shockers now with 12 hits in the ballgame, leading to 9 runs, thanks in large part to a couple of Nebraska errors, as the entire Cornhusker infield meets on the mound. And they are going to stick with Tillotson. They'll be facing Alex Jackson. Pinch hits for Noah Croft. Croft finishes the day 0 for 3. Jackson comes in hitting at .240. 6 hits and 25 at-bats on the year. Swings it from the left side. And batting with men at the corners. Dayton Dugan at third. Mason O'Brien on at first. Downstairs.
Well, good opportunity for Alex Jackson, and he's another one of these left-handed bats that Todd Butler can call upon. Kind of worked his way into the lineup at McNeese with a very good series. Came home and led off for a couple of games last weekend. And then this weekend, versatile guy as well. Has played outfield, has played infield. Just shows you kind of the wealth of riches that Todd Butler has had this year. Guys who had significant at-bats last year who he can call upon off the bench.
Out in front of a changeup, 79 miles an hour as Tillotson took a little off, and it's 1-2. Anything in play on the ground should score a run. Nebraska looks like they are willing to concede the double play in exchange for a run. Jackson just trying to put something in play. 1-2. And he struck him out. Got him to chase a breaking ball down and in, and a big strikeout from Paul Tillotson.
Well, he just buckles down here, and even against the lefty, Tillotson able to keep Jackson off balance pretty much that entire at bat. Majority of off-speed pitches from Tillotson. And that's a big first out, as Nebraska just a ground ball away from being able to escape the inning without any more incurred damage.
So still at the corners with one out, and Travis Young to the plate. 0 for 2 is walked and scored. He's going to bunt. Runner coming to the plate. Alvarado's throw is going to be in time. Some miscommunication perhaps between Dayton Dugas and Travis Young as the Shockers try to squeeze. And Young got the bunt down, but it was right at Alvarado, who had a fairly routine flip to Wilkening for the tag.
Yeah, that felt a lot like a safety squeeze, although if it was, Dugas didn't have to come. But this ball right at the first baseman, Alvarado, who was coming down, Dugas felt like he didn't get tagged. At least that's what he says.
So now first and second and 2 out, and Jacob Catsby to the dish. He takes down an outside, and this would be a pretty miraculous escape for Tillotson to get out of this with only the 1 run across. But Catsby has had a pretty good day. He has walked and scored, singled, and flown out to right.
This game continues to be wild here into the 6th inning. There have been a lot of base runners.
And both teams hitting pretty well with runners on. The Shockers are 9 of 22 with men aboard today. Catsby couldn't hold up.
So it's tough to appeal to the umpire standing behind the pitcher's mound, but that one pretty obvious that Catsby's intent was there and that he broke the plane.
1-2. Little squibber over the mound. Going to be a tough play and no play. Jacob Catsby right off the end of the bat just barely eluded the glove of Tillotson, and Rapinski probably made the right decision just to eat that baseball.
Was that his hit in the 5th inning too? The little cue shot right in front of the plate. This one just barely springs over Tillotson. Couple of infield hits for Jacob Catsby. And all of a sudden, the Shockers have a guy who hasn't had a ton of 2-out opportunities in this series, who was fantastic last year at coming through in the clutch.
Jordan Boyer, first pitch swinging, and that had a bunch of funky spin on it. Ends up trickling wide of the third base bag.
There's something about Jordan Boyer's approach. He's pretty simple, as you see the Nebraska defense pretty much straight away. The outfield very deep, and that's more as a result of the wind than anything else. But that's a lot of hitting space, and I think that's a big reason why we've seen, 21 hits today? You have a lot of acreage to go after.
Swing and a miss. Breaking ball Boyer may have foul tipped it right into the ground, but regardless, it's 0-2. Base hit with 2 outs here is almost definitely going to score 2, and with Catsby on at first, something in the gap would likely clear them. A huge hitter in this ballgame as Nebraska tries to keep it to just a single shocker run here in the 6th. Wilkening, what a block. Now they've got O'Brien off of third, and he is out. That's a heck of a play from Jesse Wilkening, and he saves the Cornhuskers here in the bottom half of the 6th. We move to the 7th. Still 9-7 Wichita State on WSU TV.
I was living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't
teach.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Some poor base running has run Wichita State out of a couple of scoring chances here this afternoon. They do still have a 9-7 lead as we progress into the top of the 7th, but 2 outs between third and home, costing the Shockers a chance to add on some insurance runs there in the 6th. And Gunnar Troutwine is going to take over behind the plate for Wichita State. Alex Jackson pinch hit for Noah Croft, and so Troutwine will enter in the 6th spot in the batting order, and also the senior catcher takes over behind the plate. It's Chandler Sandburn back out for another inning to face Angelo Altavilla, Scott Schreiber, and Jesse Wilkening, 3-4-5.
Well, this might be one of the biggest shutdown innings, shutdown opportunities of the game for the Shockers. You feel like you kind of got some breathing room after Nebraska tied it in the top half of the 5th. Not only the 1 run and then the 1 run in the bottom of the 5th before Sandburn got through the 6th. But now you get another insurance run and feeling like might have left an opportunity or 2 out there on the bases to end the inning.
Slider just missed from Sandburn, 1-1. Now, your point is well made. In the 5th, when the Shockers got their run, they still had a runner in scoring position when the inning came to a close. And then obviously in the 6th, runners all over the place. Altavilla to the right side. It's right at Luke Ritter. 1 down.
Well, that was one of the big mistakes that happened on Friday for Nebraska. It just kind of got them off to a bad start when Mojo Hagee kind of got a bad jump. Here's the ground out again, and this is just good defense, simple 4-3. But you kind of felt like that was kind of the wrong start to the weekend. I mean, nobody wants to give up an out to begin a series, but the Shockers have done a little of that here the last couple of days.
Little flare from Schreiber as Sandburn gets in on him, and Ritter will retreat onto the outfield turf to make the catch. Quickly 2 up and 2 down, but Wichita State has had their own issues on the base pass. They made 3 outs yesterday, 2 pickoffs and a caught stealing. And then if you count the safety squeeze here and then the pickoff to end that last inning, that's 5 over the last 2 days. I'm sure Todd Butler will not be particularly pleased with that outcome.
Well, when you got a guy like Chandler Sandburn eating up bats like that, sometimes you feel like you can breathe a little easier.
He's got Jesse Wilkening up there. Throws high and away. Sandburn's been the only guy, it seems like, today who has had any kind of confidence on the mound, willing to attack and go after hitters. Has only allowed 1 base runner since entering in the 5th. That was the walk to Athey, but he was promptly erased on a double play. That's a slider that Wilkening was about 1.5 miles out in front of, and it's 1-1.
You know, normally cold weather is supposed to go the way of the pitcher. When you have the breeze like that, this one hasn't been too cold. It's just been windy, and that has seemed to play tricks with the defense from the beginning. But everybody's kind of gone up to the plate aggressive and angry. And that's on both sides.
Sandburn 1 strike away from a second consecutive 0. Wilkening 2 for 3, single and a double. Just missed. That's a great expand fastball. Right off the plate, exactly where Troutwine wanted it. Probably never intended to be a strike, but Wilkening showing good plate discipline, lays off.
Troutwine just looks like a rock back there, too. Almost no movement as he receives it.
Swing and a miss, and there it is. Chandler Sandburn, a 1-2-3 inning, and we will stretch it out here at X Stadium. It is 9-7 Wichita State on WSU TV.
Got a quarter?
Chandler Sandburn has been the star of the show for Wichita State this afternoon. 2 2/3 of scoreless relief has propelled Wichita State into the bottom of the 7th inning, leading Nebraska by the score of 9-7. And the Huskers will make a move to the pen as right-hander Mike Waldron takes over. 6'2", 200-pound junior from Omaha, Nebraska. He takes over for Paul Tillotson, who goes 2 2/3, allows 4 hits and 2 runs with 3 walks and a couple of strikeouts.
There you see the numbers for Waldron making his 3rd appearance, kind of skewed by his first outing of the year against UC Riverside, in which he allowed 3 runs in just 2/3 of an inning, but he came back against the 2nd-ranked Beavers from Oregon State back on February 22nd. He went an inning and 2/3, and despite allowing 2 hits, did not allow a run. No other base runners. This is a guy with pretty good control. Not going to walk a lot of guys. He'll be around the plate.
Another one of those two-way guys for Darren Erstad in this Nebraska ball club. Last year had 10 starts at third base for this team, batting .250, but has been used out of the Husker bullpen and is used in that capacity here in the bottom of the 7th inning. He comes on and will be facing Jordan Boyer to start it. It was Boyer who was at the plate when Mason O'Brien was picked off of third to end the 6th.
You know, one real interesting note to close out Tillotson, the Nebraska reliever. 2 2/3, he was pretty good except for 2 leadoff walks. They both scored, and that's the difference in this game right now.
Boyer watches a first pitch strike. Shockers have definitely made the most of their walks. They've drawn 5 free passes. 4 of them have come home to roost. And the one that didn't got thrown out at the plate. Dayton Dugas cut down on that safety squeeze. Rocketed by Boyer. Altavilla on the backhand. Throws and off the first base bag. Oh, I thought Alvarado was, but he kept a toe on, and Boyer is retired.
Well, this was a great defensive play all the way around, and that's something a pitcher fresh into the ball game loves to see, as this is just a heat-sinking line drive that Altavilla had to go to his backhand. Here we're going to see the back end of it. It just kind of looked, it was tough to tell, but it kind of looked like you could see that Alvarado's foot was still in the vicinity of the bag, if not on it.
Well, Boyer felt the same way I did, but he's, of course, much closer to the play than I am, and Alvarado's got that long frame. Could have very well kept a toe on as We're back to the top for Luke Ritter. Fouls it to the right side. Coming over is Alvarado, and it's going to reach the seats. Every out has just been pulling teeth this afternoon.
Been an adventure today. Let's see, we've had a hit batter. We've had 5 walks altogether between both teams. And then 21 hits. That's a lot of base runners. And I can't forget about a couple of errors either.
Luke Ritter has been a lion's share of those base runners. He's got 3 times aboard, 2 singles and a double. His one time being made out was an RBI ground out in the 5th on a very close bang-bang play at first. Waldron spikes a breaking ball 2-2.
And another RBI back on that double in the 2nd inning that kind of proved to be a huge momentum shift, even though the Shockers didn't get any other runs in that inning.
And appears as though Jesse Wilkening is a little worse for the wear right now behind home plate. Home plate umpire Seth Buckminster walked a new baseball out to Waldron, and Altavilla is going to come to the mound for a quick discussion, more so just to give Wilkening a couple extra moments to gather himself.
He's been beat up this weekend.
Catchers wear a lot of padding, and balls seem to hit where there is no padding from time to time. 2-2. Hammered right at shortstop again. Altavilla fires across. 2 up and 2 down for Wichita State here in the 7th.
Well, Waldron coming out after he got a fantastic defensive play. He made this one a lot easier on his shortstop Altavilla. As Ritter continues to strike it hard. It's a loud out, but a quick one.
Grayson Jennist has been up there 4 times. He swung at the first pitch all 4 times. 2 singles, ground out to second, fly out to deep center. Not swinging this time and takes a strike. Nebraska throwing a little bit of a defensive shift on. They've got Rapinski pulled deep into the 4-hole, and the shortstop Altavilla pinched near the second base bag. Basically only Roscom on the left side of the infield. Good spot. Jennist down 0-2.
And he's even more in a spot where a shortstop would play when the infield draws in than typical third base spot. Way off the line.
Waldron misses away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nebraska will send 6, 7, and 8 to the plate in the 8th. And the action had continued down the Wichita State pen. Tyler Davis and Tommy Barnhouse were both throwing. I imagine that spells the end for Chandler Sandburn, but we will see. Swing and a miss. Jennist out in front of a breaking ball. And it's 1-2-3 frame for Mike Waldron. We move onward to the 8th. 9-7 Shockers on WSU TV.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Charles Koch Arena is the place where we gather as a community to compete against the very best. Now our game plan is to renovate Koch Arena by adding a new student-athlete success center. Your tax-deductible gift can help deliver that slam dunk. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
9-7 Shockers. We make our way into the top of the 8th, and the 4th appearance of the season for freshman right-hander Tyler Davis comes right now. Davis, 2 2/3 innings of work. He has allowed 3 hits and 1 run. That came down in Lake Charles against McNeese State. 3 strikeouts, 2 walks for the freshman from Spring, Texas, called upon to get some very important outs here in the series finale.
Another big arm going to be trusted to carry the torch from Chandler Sandburn's excellent performance. And there you see it. 3 appearances thus far, 2 2/3. And as you mentioned, Denny, coming off of a very good outing against Omaha, in which he struck out 2 after working around a hit and a walk, and kept it scoreless in that outing.
He'll face 6, 7, and 8. Luke Roscom, Luis Alvarado, and Jackson Hallmark, the scheduled hitters for Nebraska. And the man coming to the plate right now may be the most important of those trio. Roscom has squared up everything in his first 3 at-bats. 2 lineouts to Dayton Dugas in right. Then he doubled off the right center field wall to drive home a run in the 5th.
Everything right around Dayton Dugas. Spray chart with 3 dots deep in right field today for how hard Roscom has hit it.
Davis gets a foul tip. Check swing from Roscom. Looked like he probably held up, but made contact with the baseball, and Tyler Davis gets ahead 0-1.
Luke Roscom looked like he was arguing with himself, a little frustrated that he didn't hold up there and keep the bat out of the zone.
Davis working exclusively out of the stretch. 6'3", 205 pounds. That's how you draw it up. Big, long, lanky right-hander. That last fastball clocked at 91 miles an hour. Really trying to work Roscom in. That was a changeup, 2 balls and a strike.
Well, he can run it up there, and he's got a pretty good repertoire as well. Big situation, a lot of trust from Todd Butler and Mike Steele turning to the freshman here.
Tap to the right side. Nice high hop for O'Brien. He runs it to the first base bag, and a big first out for Tyler Davis.
Well, I love the sequence there, and you talked about it. They worked in on Roscom the entire time, tried to get in on his hands, and it pays off, as this is a pitch in tight. Kind of looked like Roscom might have actually got rolled over it, and then he's just going to carry the stick all the way down out of frustration.
Can't use it once you're down there. And now it's Alvarado. Just missed in tight.
Running a relay race with the baton.
Tommy Barnhouse is still down and loosening in the Wichita State pen, probably in case Davis encounters any trouble here in the 8th. Good breaking ball. Alvarado never had a chance, 1-1.
Well, that's been something about the way that the Shockers have used the bullpen so far this year. Barnhouse has been ready to go in about the 8th inning, so in case he's got to get 5 or 4 out somewhere in that ballpark, they've had him ready.
There's another one. And Tyler Davis showing a good feel for a curveball. He's ahead 1-2.
Alvarado's hit it hard a couple of times today, but not much to show for it thus far.
Fastball got him looking. That was clinical from Tyler Davis. A couple hammers and then lock him up with the fastball.
Just a fantastic sequence from Davis. And kind of the freshman showing wisdom and skill beyond his years. That's a guy who's going to could be a professional hitter if he wanted to. Man, Troutwine's so quiet on the receiving end. Sometimes you overlook that. Catches that right on the corner and holds it. No movement whatsoever from his body.
2 outs, nobody aboard for Jackson Hallmark. Fastball skips in low.
There's something, too, about a veteran catcher like Troutwine and having that steady presence to a freshman. You feel like you can throw anything at him, and he's just going to be there to catch it and keep it in front. Gives you a lot of confidence on the mound.
Strike at the knees. Shockers will have 3, 4, and 5 due up in their home half of the inning. Breaking ball spins down and outside. 2 balls and a strike. Probably don't want to get to Jeff Athey this inning if the Shockers can avoid it. He's been on base all 3 times. There you see the left-hand hitter looming in the on-deck circle. Would love to get a 1-2-3 frame here from Tyler Davis. There's another strike at the knees. Hallmark has not taken the bat off of his shoulder, and it's 2-2.
Davis, great fastball command so far this inning. That's allowed him to go into secondary pitches and expand the zone a little bit. We'll see where he goes with here.
Low. Well, how much confidence do you have in the freshman? Do you let him drop off a breaking ball here on 3-2? If you can throw it for a strike, you're probably in good shape. But that takes a lot of guts. Full count. Swing and a foul tip. Troutwine squeezes it, and there was the curveball. Tyler Davis strikes out 2 and a 1-2-3 scoreless 8th inning. Into the home half we go. 9-7 Wichita State on WSU TV. Nine-7 Shockers, and after Clayton McGinnis faced 3 batters and did not retire any of them coming on in relief in the 5th, 2 Shocker relievers, Chandler Sandburn and Tyler Davis, have been nails since. 3 2/3 scoreless innings. They have allowed just 1 base runner and kind of calmed down what had been a crazy game up to that point.
Well, sometimes you're the one who picks guys up. Other times you have to be picked up. And McGinnis, who's been fantastic so far this year, watching 2 guys look electric, and Chandler Sandburn certainly set the tone getting out of that 5th inning, then a couple of zeros before Tyler Davis, a very clean and efficient 8th inning.
Alec Boehm will start it for the Shockers. He has led off in 3 different innings now this afternoon. Takes a strike, couple walks, and a grand slam for Alec Boehm. He has scored 3 and driven home 4.
And a great leadoff hitter today.
Mike Waldron is back out for a 2nd inning of work, and he is ahead 0-2. Got a 1-2-3 7th inning, couple groundouts and a strikeout. Defensive swing from Boehm on no balls and 2 strikes. Sprays a breaking ball back to the screen.
I was going to say, it's kind of interesting to watch Boehm hit in an 0-2 hole. Haven't seen that a ton this year, as guys have made the mistake of being too careful. Waldron, aggressive, goes right at him and gets ahead and finally gets a defensive swing out of the big bopper.
Fastball runs in off the plate at 84, 1-2. He'll be followed by Dugas and O'Brien, 2 righties, and then a lefty for Wichita State. Gunnar Troutwine would get his first at-bat if anyone reaches. High drive into center field, but I'm not sure he caught it clean. Hallmark will make the catch a couple steps in front of the warning track. Just didn't quite sound the same, and hangs up there for the Husker center fielder.
Well, it's kind of the way the start of the season has gone, though, for Alec Boehm. You feel like anything off his bat in the air has a chance, and this one just kind of lofts up there a little bit. But tip your cap to Mike Waldron. He got ahead of Alec Boehm and put the pressure on him. And that's about as defensive of an out as you're going to see Boehm make, or as he has made so far this year.
A little bit of a delayed call, and strike 1 to Dayton Dugas, who's been on base 3 times. the problems have started once he's been on. He's gotten picked off of second and then retired at the plate on kind of a botched squeeze play. But still reaching base a little more consistently. The on-base percentage for Dugas now up over 350. Good to see. Batting out of the cleanup spot for Todd Butler this afternoon.
Well, we make a ton of conversation about Genesta and Bohm, but I really think a lot of the success of the Shockers lineup has a lot to do with the guys after them cleaning up when teams try and pitch around the Bash Brothers 2.0, and Dugas is a big part of that.
A couple words of reassurance for himself as he digs back in on 1 and 2. Ouch. Skipped right up and caught Wilkening in the mask. He will need an ice bath.
He's been beat up today.
Really has. Talked about the importance of a veteran catcher in Gunnar Troutwine, and you get the sense that Jesse Wilkening is just that for this Nebraska team as well. Kind of calms the whole thing down, and it's nice to know you can bounce a breaking ball on 2 strikes, and he's going to keep it in front. Fastball probably outside. Dayton Dugas down looking, and it's 2 up and 2 down for Wichita State here in the 8th.
Well, with all the offense today, the strike zone has been rather large on both sides of the plate. And this is a 2-strike pitch that looks out, but it's been called. Seth Buckminster's had a very wide zone.
A lot to be said for hitting target. If you're a catcher and you can set up a ball off the plate and they hit the spot and you present it well, you're going to get a lot of calls. But Dayton Dugas has a reason to be upset. O'Brien takes a strike, 1-1. Mason O'Brien having himself quite the day and quite the series. 3 more hits on the afternoon. The average has skyrocketed up to 357 at last check. And 3 RBI for him, now 13 on the season.
Well, he has hit well here in 6 games. He's a very good compliment. Talked about the importance of Dugas hitting, but O'Brien has just been consistent here at X Stadium.
To the right side, backing up to field it is Alvarado, and he will win the race to first base. Another 1-2-3 inning for Mike Waldron, but the Huskers will need 2 to keep it going. We move to the 9th. It's 9-7 Wichita State on WSU TV.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Nine-7 Shockers, 3 more outs to get. And right-hander Tommy Barnhouse will be on in search of his 3rd save of the season. Barnhouse, in his first year as the Shockers closer, the sophomore from Lansing, Kansas, closed out the ballgame yesterday in a non-save situation. He allowed a couple of runs in the 9th before finishing off a 6-3 victory yesterday, and now a chance to wrap up a series sweep in the 9th inning today.
Well, he's finally got an ERA after 3 scoreless appearances, including a 2-inning save at McNeese State. Barnhouse gave up a fly ball home run that you could probably say was wind-aided in the 9th inning, but got some work in, and now he's going to be called upon in a save situation. This has been just a crazy game. You think about it, at the beginning of this one, it seemed like the Shockers were just completely in rhythm and in control, but that 5-run 5th inning for the Huskers is certainly made this one a lot more uncomfortable for Wichita State.
He'll contend with 9-1-2. It starts with the designated hitter, Jeff Athey, who's been a thorn in the Shockers' side this afternoon. Been on base all 3 times. He's done so in 3 different varieties. Hit by pitch in the 3rd, single and a run scored in the 5th, and then walked against Chandler Sanborn in the 6th.
Well, it was Athey yesterday who hit the home run off of Barnhouse in the 9th. That was Barnhouse's first run surrendered and Athey's first hit of the year.
Strike at the belt. Athey raised the elbows up. And some cries of protest from the Cornhusker faithful. And cries of protest from Darren Erstad. Ball and a strike. Swing and a miss. Got Athey to chase a fastball up, and it's 1-2. There's Erstad, who, safe to say, was not pleased with the outcome of that 1-0 pitch.
I think it's fair to say both sides have been frustrated with the strike zone as it has gotten rather large. Kind of seemed large all day, but seems like we haven't had a ton of pitches that have been taken. When they have, it's been a big zone.
Swing and a miss. Breaking ball foul tipped into the mid of Troutwine, and Tommy Barnhouse enacts a measure of revenge, striking out Athey to start things here in the 9th.
A good start for Barnhouse. Yesterday kind of felt like he was a little off kilter coming in, so to come out and settle down and 4 pitches retire Athey, it's a good first step. Here's going to be the payoff pitch one more time. Target up. Great breaking ball.
It's got outstanding depth diving down in the strike zone, and now an important hitter in Mojo Hagge. Been on base 2 out of 4 times and has scored both times. Grounded sharply into a double play his last time up. Just missed. Don't need to overstate the importance of keeping the tying run out of the batter's box, but obviously any man who reaches means the next Nebraska hitter will represent just that. Up the middle, Boyer dives, throws, he's not going to get him.
What a attempt by Jordan Boyer. Hagge with excellent speed, got out of the box in a hurry, and he was going to need to because Boyer made a fantastic stop up the middle. Ball is rocketed off of the mound, and somehow Boyer was able to leap for it. He got a lot on that throw for really having nothing that he could push off of to make the throw.
So Zach Rapinski represents the potential tying run. Breaking ball down, squirts through Troutwine, and that will allow Hagge to advance to second. Not hugely important. What it does do is it eliminates the possibility of a game-ending double play.
Well, that's a tough one. We've talked about Troutwine being a wall back there, and on that breaking ball, it looked like he kind of skipped up a little high. Hagge, great speeds on second, but then, as you mentioned, that run somewhat frivolous.
Rapinski, 1 for 4 today, has scored a couple of runs. Good series, though, for the Nebraska second baseman, and we have a tie game. Picks on a 1-0 fastball and deposits it way out of here to left field. 9-9 in the top of the 9th inning on Zach Rapinski's first home run of the season. So the Huskers victimized Tommy Barnhouse with a 2-run homer for the second straight day.
I have a feeling this pitch got a lot of plate. And Rapinski knew it. That's a lot of frustration from the Cornhuskers as they've been trailing pretty much all series. and a very important time.
First blown save of the year for Tommy Barnhouse. Angelo Altavilla up there now with one out, nobody aboard. Obviously important now for Barnhouse to keep it right where it is and give the Shockers a chance to win it in the home half. Altavilla, 1 for 3. He's also lifted a sacrifice fly. Pokes it foul.
I give a lot of credit to the Cornhuskers in this series as they have been missing the big hit, but today they came back and their hitters have been aggressive and they have been consistently aggressive all the way throughout. Persistent, I think, is a better word.
Good breaking ball from Barnhouse, 1-2. Shockers will have the 6, 7, and 8 hitters due up in their half of the ninth. It'll be Troutwine, Young, and Catsby, the scheduled 3. But imperative that Tommy Barnhouse gets us there with no further damage. Altavilla calls time. Leans in back with a fastball at 92.
Now, through the first 8 games, this is a lot of the damage that the Shockers had avoided. Both some of the late inning explosions as well as some of the defensive mistakes that the Shockers had early.
Into left field by Altavilla. It's going to slice back to Travis Young, who makes the catch retreating just in front of the warning track, 2 men down.
Important, too, to have him clear for Schreiber. The guy who has been mostly held in check this weekend, but at any point you can see Altavilla, who's just seems like he is right on the precipice of breaking out. I feel like whoever Nebraska sees next might want to watch out for him to have a big series because he seems like his timing is coming around. They'll host Cal Poly next weekend.
Altavilla has now flown out to left field 5 times in this series. Schreiber takes a strike. Certainly a dangerous guy, but the Shockers, for the most part, have kept him at bay. He has the 1 extra base hit that came all the way back on Friday in the first inning, doubling to the gap in right center field. Today, he has reached base twice on an error and a walk. A little bit up, 1-1. Breaking ball flicked foul, and Barnhouse into the catbird seat, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Activity down in the Nebraska pen. It's their closer, Jake Hohensee, who is up and throwing. A little surprised they might not run back out Mike Waldron, who had looked very good, setting up the Shockers 1, 2, 3 in both the 7th and the 8th innings. Tommy Barnhouse trying to send us to the home half of the 9th. To the left side, high hop for Alec Boehm, sets and throws, and the Huskers are retired, but Nebraska ties the game on the 2-run homer from Zach Rapinski. To the bottom half of the 9th, Shockers can win it with 1. It's 9 apiece on WSU TV.
Got a quarter?
Into the bottom half of the ninth inning, and all tied up at 9 after Zach Rapinski lifts a 2-run shot to left field in the top half of this inning, and Nebraska will call upon their closer as right-hander Jake Owensy comes out of the left field pen, 6'2", 230-pound senior from Lincoln, and he will try and keep it right where it is as the Shockers look for their first walk-off victory of 2018.
Jake Owensy, the Friday night starter last year for the Cornhuskers, has kind of flipped spots with Luis Alvarado this year, making his 5th appearance out of the pen, yet to allow a run this season, as he has shut down Washington State and Utah in his 4 outings. First time the Shockers will see him, though, is Darren Erstad saved him for one of the few late inning situations that Nebraska has been even, but that really one of the first opportunities he's needed a big out, he'll go to the big righty.
Troutwine getting his first at-bat, came on as a defensive replacement. Owensy throws a strike. It was Noah Croft who got the start behind the plate, went 0 for 3. Alex Jackson pinch hit for him in the 6th. The result of all 4 of those plate appearances were strikeouts. So Gunnar Troutwine trying to reverse the luck out of the 6th spot this afternoon. He'll be followed by Travis Young and Jacob Katzvey. It's 2 righties and a lefty for the Shockers here in the bottom of the 9th. That is what a closer looks like. Big beard, the clear spectacles. Good changeup. Troutwine out in front, 1 and 2.
A lot of energy, a lot of body movement coming out of Owensy.
Last year as a starter, 7-3 with a 4.39 ERA. And he gets Troutwine swinging to start things here in the bottom of the 9th.
He's been pretty good. That's his 4th strikeout to just 1 walk. He's only allowed 3 total base runners, 2 hits and the walk I mentioned. But he's aggressive, and kind of always interesting to see starters who come back to the bullpen. And he's got some sort of tempo to him. He's ready to grip it and rip it.
Travis Young almost got hit, had to raise the arms up above his head, 1-0. Travis has grounded out to short, flown out to center, walked and scored, then reached on the attempted squeeze play in the 6th that resulted in Dayton Dugas being cut down at the plate. Back up the middle and on into center field, and the good guy to have on there in Travis Young. And he's going to go for 2. Throwing to second is not going to be in time. How about the hustle from Travis Young?
But he's got speed to burn, and he was burning out of the box. This is just a routine single, but the center fielder, Hallmark, is so far back and so cautious that by the time he fields it, Young is well on his way to second, and that is great aggressiveness.
So the winning run now in scoring position with 1 out, and the batter is Jacob Katzvey. Now you said it, Tim. Hallmark playing just a couple steps in front of the warning track and then didn't hustle in at all. Played back on that hopper on into center field, and Young never hesitated. Katzvey takes ball 1.
So here's something kind of interesting. If we get a shot of the defense, you're going to see the outfield is still really deep, and they kind of have to be because of the wind. But at the same time, a single should score Travis Young here.
Swing and a miss. Changeup. Katzvey waves over the top of it, 1-1. An extra base hit doesn't hurt you here, because the game's over no matter what. Anything in front of you with Travis's speed is probably going to end this game.
Best arm in the outfield is in right field in Schreiber.
Down and inside, Wilkening there once again.
Haggie and Hallmark both have good speed, but a single on anything less than a shot out there should get Young home.
High fly ball, left center field. Hallmark tracking it to the gap, will settle and make the catch. Young's going to tag and head to third. The throw is well offline, and he will be there with a feet first slide.
Well, that's important because any mistake now, any way that the Shockers can force home the run where Boyer reaches safely is going to end this one. This is a fly ball that does the work, just deep into left center field. And that kind of illustrates the point, though, of Hallmark definitely not going to get Young coming home.
So Jordan Boyer with a chance to be the hero. He takes strike one. Single and 3 trips for Jordan today. He has also laid down a sacrifice bunt. Owen sees 0-1. Grounder out toward shortstop. Altavilla gobbles, throws. We've got free baseball coming up at X Stadium. Onward to the 10th we go. 9-9 on WSU TV.
I was living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra-smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
Shockers had the winning run 90 feet away in the bottom half of the ninth, but couldn't bring him home. And now it's up to Tommy Barnhouse to keep it right where it is as we are on into the 10th inning here at X Stadium. It's Jesse Wilkening, Luke Roscom, and Luis Alvarado. 5, 6, 7 due up for the Huskers in the top of the 10th.
That's a big inning for Tommy Barnhouse as the role kind of changes from stopper to, I don't know what the active word would be, continuer. You want to get this thing to
maintainer.
The maintainer. Yeah, there you go. Persister. Either way, this is a tough spot too. Wilkening and Roscom have taken some very good swings today, as well as Alvarado.
Wilkening 2 for 4, single and a double. He's also struck out twice, getting his first look at Barnhouse this afternoon. Breaking ball bounces. Shockers scored in each of the first 6 innings. All single tallies except for the 4 spot in the 4th, courtesy of Alec Boehm's grand slam. Nebraska got single runs in the 1st and 3rd, a 5-run 5th inning, and then 2 in the 9th to bring us to our present score. Breaking ball just stays inside, 2-0.
This has been a very wild game for what was a pretty straightforward series for the most part, with the Shockers using the long ball to take the first 2 games. But no lead has really felt safe today.
Well, Nebraska is about to have one as Jesse Wilkening leaves the ball yard to left. 2-run homer from Zach Rapinski in the 9th and a solo shot from the Husker catcher here in the 10th, and it is 10-9 Nebraska. Tommy Barnhouse getting himself into trouble with 2-0 counts, and he has left a couple pitches elevated and paid for it.
Now this one was not missed by Wilkening. And he's taking some good swings today. That's a fastball up that he just launches.
So now it's Luke Roscom. He's taking a vicious hack, and he fouls it over the press box and out of play, 0-1. A Nebraska team coming into play today that had homered 3 times, and they have homered twice in the last 2 innings when they have absolutely needed it.
Well, we talked about it the first couple innings of this game. They had left a lot of guys on and not had the big hit, not had a hit that made the Shocker pitchers pay for extra bases. Today, they have not left a lot of guys on, and they've had quite a few loud hits.
Roscom tardy. Tommy Barnhouse has had issues with the long ball. Last year, he surrendered 10, working both as a starter and a reliever. A guy who, as a power pitcher, is going to work up in the strike zone a little more than a traditional guy will anyway. But there are, of course, some caveats to that. It's 1-2. Swing and a miss. Good breaking ball there. Had good depth, and Roscom cuts through it for the first out here in the 10th.
Well, I think you mentioned it. I mean, you fall behind a guy 2-0, and you're allowing him to really sell out for the pitch that he wants. Here's the difference. You get leverage on Roscom, and Roscom is having to swing at your pitch. There's a big difference there. So even the aggressive swing, and you're able to make the pitch that you want to make versus trying to challenge a guy, that seems to be the difference.
Alvarado cuts through a breaking ball, and Tommy may have found something with that curveball. He's gotten some bad swings from Roscom and now Alvarado. Ahead 0-1.
Well, so much of pitching, you talk about upsetting timing, but a lot of it can be about leverage. When you can take control of the count at 0-1, 0-2, you get guys to swing at your pitches.
Popped up foul territory right side, and it's going to land in front of Mason O'Brien, who could not quite get there, and too long of a run for Gunnar Troutwine as well. 0-2. This game by no means over. Wichita State will have the top of their order due up in the bottom of this 10th inning. And anytime you can bring Genesta and Bohm to the plate in addition to Luke Ritter, who has 3 hits, you like your chances.
But even though Hohensee has a lot of experience starting, you do like making a closer work for a second inning, especially against the part of the order that you went up there the most.
You've seen the perils of having the closer work multiple innings in Tommy Barnhouse as he bounced a breaking ball 1-2. Jackson Hallmark to follow. Jeff Athey, if anyone else reaches in the frame for the Huskers. 10 runs on 11 hits now with 2 errors. 9 runs on 14 hits for the Shockers. Good swing on a fastball, and he fouls it back.
Well, earlier you asked about the start for Lungwitz, and I think in hindsight, right, hindsight always being 20/20, it becomes more of an emphasis when a starter doesn't reach the 6th or 7th when the bullpen is elongated, when you have to make multiple guys work multiple innings to piece it together. And I think you always end up having to put some of that responsibility on the starter if they fail to get 5 or 6 innings. And granted, if the bullpen keeps it clean, then you say it's not a big deal. But I think that's going to be a big emphasis for the Shockers moving forward, as it seems to have already been through the first 8 games, 9 if you want to count the way this one has gone to this point. But having starters chew up innings allows the bullpen to come out in shorter stints and not be out there having to labor as much.
Good breaking ball, and Alvarado chases down in the turf. Troutwine applies the tag, and Tommy Barnhouse has bounced back with back-to-back punch-outs.
Yeah, the stuff is definitely there, and that breaking ball has been very good for Barnhouse. It seems like the Huskers have been waiting for his fastball. There you see Troutwine pop up and apply the tag.
Been a frustrating afternoon at the plate for Alvarado. That's now a hat trick for him.
He came out swinging hard, too. He had a couple of really hard outs, had the line drive and then the fielder's choice as well.
Hallmark has struck out 3 times. He's not going to do so here as he skies it into shallow center field. Jordan Boyer waits and makes the catch to retire the side, but the Huskers take the lead on the solo home run off the bat of Jesse Wilkening. Shockers will need 1 to keep it going, 2 to win it to the bottom of the 10th on WSU TV.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Luke Ritter, Grayson Genesta, Alec Bohm, the top of the Shocker order, needing at least 1 to keep this ball game going as we are into the bottom of the 10th. A solo home run from Jesse Wilkening, giving Nebraska their current 10-9 advantage.
First time that Erstad has extended Hohensee beyond 1 inning of work this year, but a guy with plenty of experience in multiple innings, started all last season. Had a lot of responsibility as the Friday night guy for the Cornhuskers.
Luke Ritter has had a very good day. 3 hits and a lot of good swings to show for it as well. He fouls it back off the facing of the press box to our right, 0-2. 2 outs, came on a bang-bang play at first and then a hard ground ball to shortstop. Hohensee's 0-2. Just did get a piece of it. Of course, Genesta and Bohm, the next 2 hitters, certainly capable of tying this game with 1 swing. Luke Ritter homered yesterday and has 8 in his career. And everybody's a threat on a day like today, with the wind blowing out to the left.
They'd love to get Ritter on in front of either Genesta or Bohm.
High. 93 miles an hour from Hohensee. Nebraska, after Warren, has used Tillotson and Waldron in addition to their right-handed closer. Drops 1 low to Ritter, 2-2. Wichita State has gone Lungwitz, McGinnis, Sanborn, Davis, and Barnhouse. To the left side, right at Roscom. Throw across in time. So Grayson Genesta, 2 singles for him in 5 trips. Struck out his last time up against Waldron, getting his first look now at Hohensee. Little squibber right off the end of the bat towards the Nebraska dugout. 4 home runs for Genesta, including 1 in this series. Little squibber out in front of the plate. Hohensee gathers and throws, 2 down. So it's up to Alec Bohm. Last chance for the Shockers, and who better to have up there? Has already homered once today, a grand slam that at one point put Wichita State in front 7-2. But Nebraska has battled all the way back and are now just one out away from grabbing this series finale. Shockers have already secured the series victory, but this would be a bitter pill to swallow.
Hohensee started both Genesta and Bohm with breaking balls to prevent being ambushed.
0-1 and time called. Hohensee has been working very quickly. Bohm doing his best to break up the tempo.
Hohensee's done that from the moment he got in, and it's a stark contrast to a lot of the Husker pitchers who have taken time. And this is going to be annoying for Hohensee because he's trying to get in there as soon as Bohm steps in.
I think Alec Bohm is just trying to get his feet set in the batter's box, and Hohensee, as soon as he sees 2 feet planted, is ready to go. Seth Buckminster discussing right now with Darren Erstad.
And Darren Erstad completely understands. I think he wanted a question to go support his pitcher. And Todd Butler's making sure that everybody's on the same page as well.
Ball way outside off the tip of the glove of Wilkening. It's a ball and a strike.
Well, Troutwine did this as soon as Hohensee came in the first place to slow him down a bit. Try and mess with the rhythm.
2 balls and a strike. Dayton Dugas would follow should Bohm keep this one going. Three and 1. Hohensee may be content to put Bohm aboard, and that sounds kind of ludicrous when you consider the potential winning run is on deck, but this is a dangerous man. To the shortstop, Altavilla throws it wide of first base. Bohm is going to head to second base, and the Shockers have life. Angelo Altavilla keeps the Shockers in the ball game. A routine hopper out to shortstop, and he just chucks it wide of Alvarado.
Altavilla has been so impressive all weekend with how calm he's been. In the final out of the game, he just rushes. The ball kind of ate him up, and he tried to get rid of it quickly, well up the line. And the Shockers have the tying run in scoring position.
So Dugas represents the potential winning run downstairs. Bohm runs pretty well at second. You figure with 2 outs, he's liable to score on any base hit into the outfield. Swing and a miss. Dugas out in front of something off speed, 1-1.
Well, the outfield still has to play so deep that you feel like any single should score the run.
3 Nebraska errors. Cracking the door open. 2-1 to Dugas. Almost no fastballs from Hohensee. A lot of off-speed stuff.
Almost exclusively now to Bohm and Dugas.
To the left side. Diving play. Roscom throws. Game over. A good play from Luke Roscom, sliding to glove it in the 6th hole and then gunning out Dayton Dugas. And Wichita State unable to complete the series sweep as Nebraska comes back to take the finale 10-9. Tim and I will be back after a short break to wrap this one up with the final totals on WSU TV.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
A frustrating end to the series for Wichita State as they drop this one in extra innings by the final score of 10-9. Jesse Wilkening's solo home run in the top of the 10th proves to be the difference for the Cornhuskers as they improve to 6-5, while Wichita State falls to 8-1. Tim, I think plenty of lessons to be learned for Wichita State in defeat here. You've got the pitching staff, which had looked so good through the first two games of this series, and really the bullpen had looked good in this ball game. But in the ninth inning, we saw the perils of falling behind in the count, pitching elevated in the strike zone, and Nebraska finally breaks out of their doldrums in a big way.
But count this one as the one that got away. Is the Shockers have looked so good in so many different areas, and today a little shaky in a couple main areas that they had been so solid in. One, defense, but then two, some of the relief. And sometimes that can be a side effect of having to work long innings in the bullpen, but unfortunately today for the Shockers, the Nebraska bats came through with some big hits when they needed them most, and they saved two of their 3 home runs for the 9th and 10th innings today.
Jay Cohensee picks up the win. He improves to 1-0. Tommy Barnhouse takes the loss. He falls to 1-1 as the Shockers will be back in action again on Tuesday against SIU Edwardsville here at X Stadium. And they're on the road Wednesday for a midweek game against Oral Roberts before next weekend they welcome in the Mavericks of Texas Arlington. For Tim Slack, my name is Denning Garrick. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a production of The American on WSU TV.